So it's like, please, if you're a fan of watching movies, do not go spend $100,000 at film school.
Right.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly.
Just do not do that.
Yeah,
Right?
no,
Like, do not do that.
What is good, guys? It's your boy Corey.
It's your boy John.
And welcome back to the Artistry Drop, where we feature stories from today's rising artists. If you like being inspired, don't miss out on our weekly episodes, so be sure to hit that subscribe button and bell notification to be notified when we drop new episodes.
Yes, sir.
Guys, we're going to dive right in. Our guest today is an award-winning creative with 15 plus years in the game, conceptualizing and executing buzzworthy viral content. He's an expert in creative development, visual storytelling, directing talent, cinematography, and video editing with extensive experience in video production, brand content, music videos, social media marketing, documentaries, and television programming. His portfolio has garnered over 20 billion views. Guys, please welcome Matt Alonso.
Let's go.
Oh, the clap sound
The
effect.
class,
That's fire.
man, that was a lot to read off because your resume is so big.
It's crazy.
Bro.
Yeah, I'm not even gonna lie. That was for my actual resume.
Hey, it's all
So
good.
it sounds
No, it's
super proper, but
yeah,
I was
no,
like,
no.
I couldn't really find like the one that my publicist made, so I
Okay.
just sent over.
No,
like,
it's all good. Like I love it, and I want to thank you for coming on the show.
No, for sure.
You
Thank you guys for having me. I
Yeah,
appreciate
of course.
Thank
You
you, man.
definitely have been an inspiration to me. When it comes to
Me as well.
filmmaking, and I know a lot of other filmmakers out there. So I really appreciate you coming on. Really appreciate
No
it.
problem. Thank
Yeah.
you guys for having me.
Of
you
course,
know?
of course.
Of course.
But before we dive in and get to know a little bit more about Matt, we got to get to the drink of the day.
All right, so the drink of the
Absolutely.
day is another Artistry Drop special. We got the Mango Nada. So, it aspired from the Hispanic culture. It's what I put in there? I put mango puree, some diced up frozen mangoes. I diced up some pineapples, blended it all together with tequila and some lime, and then
Some mint.
some mint.
Oh,
He's knowing. Look, he's already
already
getting
diving in.
in. He's
Mark's
diving in.
done.
And I garnish it from with some mango fruits and some pineapple and lime, mint.
real good.
And I put a little tamarind straw in there too.
So you can eat that too.
Yeah,
yeah, it's a
I already
candy.
know.
Yeah.
It's a
I already
candy.
know. I'm
Yeah,
Mexican,
you
so I
gotta-
already
Oh,
know what
okay.
it is.
You know what's up.
There you go.
Yeah,
Yes,
I already
sir.
know what it is.
All right, so let's
we're
take
gonna,
it.
We're gonna do a cheers.
Oh,
Take a
hell yeah.
cheers.
Infamous cheers.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, there we go.
To a good podcast.
We need the air horn.
I know, right?
I gotta add that.
I got that. That's
Oh,
like my
shit.
only sound effect I got.
What you guys think?
That's bomb.
It's fire.
That is good.
Yeah,
Yeah,
let's
that
go.
is good. Like I feel like it's one of those drinks that could creep up on you.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I put about 7-8 shots.
Oh,
But it's
not
like
each.
Yeah,
it's
it's split
spread.
between.
Yeah, okay.
I
I was about to say too. I was like, God damn, we're
when
gonna
you
be done.
when you do blended drinks, it kind of waters it down because you put a lot of ice. So yeah.
No, but that's good. And this is the first time John has used an actual fruit,
as a cup.
you know. So this is super crazy looking.
Production
festive.
design is off.
Off the
Hey,
chain.
it's off the chain.
Art
I-
director. You're an art director.
Kind of, and I try to use that composition,
Yeah.
with the, with,
See
Yeah,
that?
yeah.
You
with
did the
palms.
decoration too.
Yeah, I did everything, bro. That's
fire.
on me.
Yeah.
Damn.
That's a production designer right there.
I know, right?
Yeah.
I can't wait to see what you do for your dates. Your date
Oh,
dates, bro.
bro, you already
Crazy,
know.
bro.
No, yeah, for real. Yeah, this is definitely probably the best looking drink you've actually made.
Hey,
so,
let's go.
big props
Had to
to
do
you.
it.
Yeah, big props.
Had to
Big
do it.
props.
Where's the audience?
The claps.
We gotta get the audience claps right there.
Thank you. I
There we
appreciate
go.
it. We gotta make sure the vibes is right for my man Matt.
Yeah, we
know.
of course. All right, guys. So I definitely want to get into it and talk to Matt a little bit more. Like his portfolio, his resume is crazy. That's
Right.
why I'm excited to have you on, bro. Like again, thank
Got a
you.
lot to go through.
we do.
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
All
let's
right,
get
so-
it popping.
Yeah.
Hey, it's gonna be a good episode.
Yes, sir.
But yeah, going into it, like, correct me if I'm wrong. You did go to Brooks Institute to study film and video production, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Film school there. Yep.
Okay, so for me, I also went to film school, and I had a great experience. I learned a lot about filmmaking history, but a lot of it is stuff I probably could have learned on like YouTube and paid courses and stuff like that. In my opinion, like, school was definitely not, like, film school wasn't fully worth it, having to, with debt occurring up to like 100,000.
Yeah.
It's a huge debt, So I want to get your opinion. Was film school worth it to you, and like, how was your experience?
for me, film school was 100% worth it.
Okay.
Like, I know this at that time, 2007 ish.
Right.
This YouTube wasn't even going.
That is
true.
fact,
So
yeah.
that wasn't necessarily even an option for me.
Yeah.
On top of that, my discipline, self-discipline at 18 years old was not there, right?
Okay.
So,
Yeah, right.
you know, I have to be realistic with myself and be like, yeah, even if it was, I do not think I could have or would have had the discipline to actually like study courses I didn't want to, because
Yeah.
I would imagine 90% of the stuff I learned in film school I didn't want to learn, but I'm so thankful that I did.
Right.
Like directing the actor and all these things that I was like, why am I doing this? I'm just a shooter. Give me the camera. I'm in the trenches.
Right.
But like now looking back, those were the most beneficial classes. Our first year of film school, we shot on cameras, so actual film, like just pictures. We had to tell stories with like 5 pictures, and we'd be like, "What are we doing? Like, we make videos, bro. Give me the camera." Like,
Right.
But they were teaching us lighting, and they're also teaching us how to kind of edit things and tell stories in through images, so because you couldn't explain what your story when you showed it to the class, and you know, these things I hated.
Right.
So if there would have been some sort of I don't know, something equivalent YouTube, I would have just turned it off, or I would have
Right.
chose not to watch that, and then I would have chose to watch like editing and or whatever it was,
Right.
and then I'd be like a cool transition editor, but I would know nothing about anything
Right.
as far as like storytelling, you know, what close-ups represent to the, you know, all these different things that like are really the foundation of filmmaking.
Yeah.
Right.
So for me, it was 100% beneficial. I would have been, so before I went to film school, we went and toured the film school. I couldn't afford it. My parents were like, great, but
Right.
but we just can't,
It's
you know.
a lot.
So I was like, all right, cool.
Yeah.
Went to City College, and I was just dicking around. So like that, if I didn't go to film school, and one of my buddies who I got into filmmaking when like at eighth grade,
Yeah.
he went to film school. His parents, you know, could send him there, and I started
Right.
doing all his projects because he was like, "Yo, help me with this," and so I'd be editing all his projects. So we pulled my dad aside, and he's like, "You have to get Matt to film school because he's getting A's on all my." He's doing all my projects, and he's
Right.
and he's getting A's.
Right.
I didn't know he was talking to my dad, you know, but if he didn't do that, I would have just been, you know, filming weddings. I didn't even know
Right.
cameras had lenses at that time, right?
Okay.
Like
Yeah.
you know, at that time, the prosumer or consumer camera was like a DVX, which, you know, there wasn't a camera that you could get and use as like a normal person
Right.
that had lenses, but that was coming quickly. But if I didn't, my parents didn't like refinance the house and like send me to film school, I would have probably
Whole
just,
different path.
Yeah.
yeah, for sure.
yeah,
You know,
yeah.
my dad worked for the city of Santa Barbara, so I was working for the city of Santa Barbara already, and that probably would have been, you know, just
Yeah,
you
your
know,
career.
working for the
Yeah.
working for the parking lots or whatever, which is great. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? But film school really like just was like, all right, cool, like this is my path, like
Right.
let's rock and roll, you know.
Yeah.
So I think that but I also agree with you. Nowadays, I don't think that it's necessarily like the best option because it's so much debt. I came out with 100,000 as
God,
well, right?
yeah.
Right.
And the crazy thing was that my film school actually like got sued from people because they promised them during their like tour that they would get them jobs.
Oh, really?
So like anybody who actually got a job, you weren't able to sue the school, and then all the kids who didn't go get jobs actually got to get their money back. So it was like really
Damn.
screwed up. But
Yeah.
but yeah, so I jumped right into it. But nowadays, I don't think that's the best option just because of the money and all the other stuff that they teach at college. I think it's just not beneficial or worth it.
Right.
But I would say YouTube's a good route. Also, I think for me personally, my biggest I guess like recommendation would be to go find a mentor. Like it's really hard to find a mentor, but like
Right.
if you're I did like 5 or 6 internships in college, but like straight internships. I didn't ask for
Right.
money. I didn't
Right.
I didn't even ask for credit for most of them. I just would show up every day, do the work, and just and I built
Right.
I built this like trust with these people,
Yeah.
right? And then
Right.
they were able to give me their contacts and Rolodex. And
Exactly.
if you get like if you can get in there and really like show yourself, that person will have a space for you, you know.
Yeah.
And not only will you learn, you'll learn the things you need to learn and not all the excess, as well as having a place in a company or within the industry already.
Exactly.
You know? So, but nowadays, like people want to intern for like 2 days and then they're like, oh, I'm
Right.
starting my own company. I got my
Yeah.
own YouTube channel. Or they take
Yeah.
a picture with the celebrity and then on my
That's it.
set and they're like, oh yeah, I got my own film company now. I'm
Yeah.
out. And I'm like, all right, bet.
This is going off the clout.
Yeah, that's
Which
crazy.
I mean, you know, so
Yeah.
but it all everybody gets weeded out. Like the
Right,
people
right.
who really want to do it,
Yeah,
exactly.
eventually, come out.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Some way.
So yeah, for me, like I'm on the flip side of things. So I didn't go to film school, know, and I've been on the borderline of like, is it really worth it? Because since he went to film school, I've been learning a lot from him, and he's been teaching me the techniques, and also like kind of interning with other people as well, and learning and seeing how they work. And we've been doing a lot of free shoots and
Yeah,
for
of course.
everything, because all the learning itself and that knowledge is
Yep.
worth a lot, and it'll help you way down the road. So I really like see where you're coming from when you were mentioning about like interning with people and doing it for free and things like that. But like a lot of people are they have a different incentive. Of course, like you mentioned those interns who like come on your set, take a photo with, whoever celebrity you have, and then all of a sudden they think they're a big shot and they do their own shit.
Yeah, they get 5 likes and it's like, oh, I'm starting my own production company.
Right.
I mean, but they were always going to do that regardless. So
Right,
like
right.
that,
That's
you know
what
what I
I'm
mean?
saying, yeah.
But, so
Show the true colors.
yeah, I think
Yeah,
I think a lot of people at least my age who've been in the industry for a little bit of time, we're very hesitant with taking
Oh, yeah, I
interns
bet.
or like
Yeah.
mentees or whatever.
Yeah.
Just because of that. So
Right.
but I mean, if you can find the opportunity, I am like, for me, like I don't even do music video. I don't even do a lot of stuff anymore. I get 10, 15, 20,000, all this stuff I just pass on, whatever. But like if I had somebody who was like, who had just worked through the trenches, and then I could just be like, here, this this little person is going to direct it, and
Yeah.
I'm going to
Right.
grandfather them in. I'm going to be on set. I'm going to help them out. I'm going to do all this stuff, and
Right.
you can still put my name. Matt Alonso Presents, directed by whoever.
Like a co-signer.
Just like
Yeah.
Hype Williams did with
Williams.
Little
Okay.
X.
Yeah. Oh,
He
yeah.
did with Little X, like, and now he's I think Director X, but that was his little guy. Like that was
Right,
his
right.
little guy. He grandfathered him in, and like that's like the best way, because then that person gets to come in, and then Hype or myself would be
Right.
be able to make some money off
Yeah.
the whole thing as
Exactly.
well. So it's like just business coming, you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
exactly.
But it's really hard to people just, everyone wants to start their own thing. So
Right.
it's tough, but
Yeah.
if you don't want to go to film school, I don't even know if there's like weekend courses. I haven't seen anything that I would like recommend, you know what I
Right.
mean? Experience is like probably the best.
Right.
'Cause then
Hands-on,
you
yeah.
just get yourself out there,
Yeah.
Yeah.
on set, and just like hit up people and be a PA, and then work your way, depending on where you want to go, work your way up the chain.
Yeah, that's
Exactly.
dope. Yeah, like speaking about film school, I heard like one of your first big budget music videos you shot for was The Game back in 2008,
Yep.
and you came prepped with this thick
yeah.
ass shot list.
Hilarious.
And then like they told you and prepped you for in film school, and then The Game looked at you like you were crazy. Yeah, looking back at previous projects, have you was there a lot of things that you realized that film school taught you that you didn't really make sense like in the real world? Just like scenarios like that.
So there was everything that I learned in film school has a place like in the actual industry or in the actual like workflow.
Okay.
Even the shot list that I had,
Right.
it was for the Game video. Although Game thought it was crazy, it was still
Right.
beneficial for my crew,
Oh,
my
yeah.
guys,
Oh, yeah,
for
for
me,
sure. Yeah.
for editing, just for us to have a a clear roadmap.
Yeah.
Not everybody needs to see it, is what I learned.
Yeah,
right.
that's true,
and,
that's
and,
true.
and instead of going off a piece of paper, it would have been much better for me just to kind of be able to be, just, hey, you go over there, tell them what to do. I have the shot list in my head. Hey, let's do it again. We're gonna do it twice, Game, whatever. And that would have, and that's how I kind of went on after that.
Okay,
but
yeah.
but still having all those things in film school were still very relevant. I don't
Yeah.
think there's too much that I learned, because Brooks was a pretty technical school as well. So
Okay.
we learned a lot of theory, which is like why to cut to a close up, why to cut to a medium shot,
Right,
what this stuff means to your audience, all these like psychological things, which is, excuse me, the most. I think to me is the most important part of filmmaking.
Yeah.
It's the foundation. Yeah.
For me, I mean, for me, it's like why you do everything
I
and
agree.
what the
Yeah.
audience is going to interpret from it. And then we learned like hands-on editing, press Apple, whatever.
Yeah.
This is how you do this, right? So,
Yeah, afterwards,
so I
yeah.
think everything that I learned was pretty much, pretty much necessary.
Yeah.
And I don't think that there was too much that I learned, even though I thought at the time it was like completely irrelevant.
Right.
I think even with the first year shooting film, and these little stills, we had a light with a light meter, and now I can walk in anywhere and I can pretty much DP it, like not anything, but I can tell the lighting right away, like just because
Right.
of that
Exactly.
year that I had to do.
Right.
I hated it at the time, but it was all beneficial and it was all for a purpose. So I don't think there was too much, at least in my film school. Now Brooks is
Right.
not around anymore because
Yeah.
like they ended up like some new president came in, bought the whole thing. It was like all for profit, and it got all corrupted and whatever. But the curriculum that I had, it was really about what you took from the program, right? There was kids that were right next to me that just barely got by, and so our experiences were completely different. And they ended up going and working at T-Mobile or something, right?
Exactly.
And I realized that a lot of kids were fans of watching movies, not fans of making movies.
Right.
So it's like, please, if you're a fan of watching movies, do not go spend $100,000 at film school.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
Just do not do that.
Yeah.
Right?
Definitely. I want to touch on that because.
Yeah.
I had the same exact experience as you,
crazy,
almost.
yeah.
I went to 2 film schools. I went to the Art Institute of Seattle when I was living in Seattle, and then the LA Film School just down here. My experience at the Seattle Art Institutes, it was almost the same exact thing as Brooks, because they pretty much shut down as well. There was a lot of shit going on, and they had to refund students, and so I actually left a year before that actually went down.
Wow.
But going back to kind of your experience about other people like pursuing film, I was really into it. The curriculum honestly was just super basic, and I honestly didn't really learn anything there. I feel like I had already, since I was already filming and doing stuff on my own, and watching some YouTube videos here and there, I had already learned a lot of the shit that I was learning, or I already had knowledge about it, versus what I learned in Art Institute. When I saw some of these students that were I was going to school with and stuff like that, and I finally graduated just a few years ago, and I had gone back home to Seattle the same year I graduated, and I seen students that I had gone to film school working, just regular jobs like what you mentioned. It's crazy, because it's so crazy. You see these students spend a lot of money on something, but
or their parents' money,
or their parents' money, and they don't even pursue what they had gone to school with.
I would say out of my graduating class, I think there was 2 of us who actually went on to live in LA, and then obviously I'm the only one. That one other person I think lasted a year or something like that, and that's pretty much like within I would say a lot of the classes, maybe one person, and we graduated every like 4 months, the way our classes were. So, but yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, everybody, everyone's trying to figure it out at that age, right?
True.
So like to each his own. But if you happen to like movies and like watching them and stuff, and maybe analyzing them, like, oh, I think the story could be better, and blah, blah, like maybe you want to be a film critic or something. Don't even bother going to school. Like, like I'm just saying, because like all the stuff that just that amount of money just doesn't make any sense. What I mean? And I don't know. Back in my coming out of high school, and at least with my father, my dad was a very like 9-to-5 type of guy. But they had me at like 17, so my dad didn't really know much. He just knew that like 9 to 5, you get a job, you go to college, you're successful. Like I feel
like most of our parents are like that.
It's just pretty like clockwork.
Right.
I think nowadays, since like parents are my age almost now, like I think the experience kind of changed a little bit. So I don't think I don't think they're necessarily like you have to go to college to be successful. Like that's kind of what was put into my head, and at least my dad's head. But I think nowadays it's kind of more like maybe go to a trade school, maybe something in the middle. But I don't know what there is to offer. I have no idea. I haven't really looked. But but LA Film School, I mean, I don't know how much it is. It's $100,000 or something like that.
Yeah, it was expensive.
Yeah,
it was expensive.
But all my guys. So when I got out here, I graduated film school. I came out here, and I was just a director, and I met a rapper. But all my guys were graduates of LA Film School.
It's a popular school, and it's crazy seeing so many people actually come out of LA Film, because I had no idea. I come when I had found out about LA Film School, I was just down here for vacation at the time. I was still going to Art Institute of Seattle, and when I passed by LA Film, I was like, oh shit, like this looks dope. They have their own sound stages and everything like that. So I was really interested. So, I went ahead and applied. The thing is though, I graduated from the online program. Okay. So that was the nice thing, is they actually had online programs for people, that wanted to learn about filmmaking from, out of state and stuff like that. But I would definitely say I learned so much online at LA Film versus what I learned on campus at Art Institute, which was crazy, because I feel like We just had really good teachers at LA Film.
Well,
We
yeah,
had-
I mean, you're in LA, you're in the
Yeah,
Mecca,
right.
right?
Exactly,
Like
exactly.
Seattle, I just don't know how much work
No, there's-
goes up there.
there's really
so
not much.
it's
Yeah.
like who's actually teaching
Yes,
those courses,
exactly.
right? Like, and who's designing the curriculum? Maybe
Yeah.
they brought in somebody, you know, but to be a teacher or to be somebody on like that administrative staff, you have to either get to a point of your career where you're like, okay, like, you know, you've reached so much success that you want to give back, or you've failed and
Yeah.
you're like, I don't really want to, like, I want to go get some sort of money because
right.
I'm tired of like chasing these jobs
Yeah.
that
Right,
I'm
right.
not getting, right?
Exactly.
So it's like, even like at our film school, you know, some of the teachers hadn't had the most successful career, but they were really educated, and whoever put the curriculum together was great. I mean, you have to just look at wherever you're at. Like if you're in the middle of America, maybe, you know, maybe it's, and you're still going to spend the same amount of money or something equivalent. It might just be best to come out west. You know
relocate.
what I mean? Yeah. I mean, if you want to work in the film industry, it's pretty much, you got to. I mean, here, New Mexico, Detroit. I think there's a couple other states that are, you know, giving
New York,
some incentives for films to come there, so that you can get an opportunity if you're in these states.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
if you want to go to film school, I think it's pretty much you got to go to the major cities.
Yeah.
you know?
to.
Exactly.
Yeah, you
So
have to.
transitioning in, now that you're in the industry, you know, have you met anybody on set who didn't go to film school and still very successful, or is it something that you normally don't really talk about as long as the person knows what they're doing?
Nah, I mean, you don't really ever talk about, like, you know, what
Experience
films.
and
Yeah,
stuff
I mean,
like that,
I
yeah.
mean, it might come up in passing. I mean,
Yeah.
my first 10 years or 8 years were all with pretty much the same sort of crew. But I mean, you know, you got to remember you're 22, 25 and up.
Yeah.
And so even if, like, when I was 22, 23 shooting games videos, you know,
Right.
my crew was the lighting guys and the grip and the whatever, they were 40
Right.
years old. Right,
Oh,
they're
okay.
not talking about their film school, right?
Exactly.
They just want to get in.
Yeah.
Where do you want the? You know, what do you
Yeah.
want? Okay, 2 of this. Let's go, boom, boom, boom.
Yeah.
All right, they just want to get home to their wives and
Yeah,
their kids, right?
right,
Like they just
right.
want to get money and like whatever. Maybe get a picture with the artist
Yeah.
or whatever
Yeah.
if their kid likes them. But you're not really, like, you know, it's not until you kind of like break bread with these guys
Yeah.
and really, like, and they see the product after and they go, oh man, I love that video. You did a great job, man. You're really whatever. And then you're
Exactly.
like, oh yeah, thank you for your help. Where'd you? And then you start talking. But that never really comes across. I mean, and I've known, you know, guys throughout my history here working that have either been on my roster, like a roster with me or whatever, like Taj. Taj, he was with TPK. He was actually the head of riveting before.
Oh, really? Okay.
And Colin
Yeah.
Tilley was his editor.
Oh, I see.
And then Chris did this whole thing with Rihanna, and then no one wanted to work with him, and then Colin, yeah. So, but he didn't go to film school, and he's the one who actually, when I left Ski TV, he put me on with Happy Place, and I was with one of the biggest agencies and agents, and he's the one who got me on there, and he was doing all
really?
like Fab and Neo and Usher and all these big artists, Jeezy. So he didn't go to film school. So I mean, there's a lot of guys that I knew.
Yeah.
But yeah, you don't really talk
really
about it.
necessarily.
Yeah, it's
exactly.
not really something.
So
that,
on the flip side, I also want to ask, like, have you been on set where you met people who didn't know what they were doing? Where you asked them something to do something and they didn't know what it was?
well, you got to remember.
Yeah.
So on set, especially once you're on a big set and you learn the pecking order and you learn like kind of the workflow of it, certain people only have contact with certain people in terms of like actually asking
That's
for
true.
things.
Yeah, that's
so
true. Yeah.
you know, most of the time I'm going to the DP directly. The DP is going to, you know, such and such. But
That's true.
but the way, you know, even now, if say I do like a $10,000 or $20,000 video, I still bring a certain DP on, and they still have a certain workflow, and so it's like they tell their people, but they hire their people. So
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
so like I don't really bring people on. It's like I bring the
it's the
DP on,
DP,
and
that's true.
you're right, or the art, and then they bring their people on. And but I'm trying to think, like, I mean, some of the interns and stuff, but you kind of expect that.
Of course,
Some
yeah.
of the PAs. I've had experiences with, because I've had really good PAs and really good PAs. Oh my! I mean, it's like a life changer. It's
Oh, damn.
it's incredible. It's
Yeah.
incredible because they I don't know where they all go to school or what they do, but if you have a really good AD, because that's kind of the chain that it goes up. If you're a really good AD,
Right.
he or she will teach these PAs. Hey, if you want to come to my set, you got to do it like this. You got to be ready. You got to be focused on the director. If he looks to, like this, then you better put a chair. You better if he's kind of parched, if his lips even look like they're even going to be parched, bring him a water, like all this stuff. I don't know what they say. I've never heard them say this stuff, but like I look for a chair.
Always on top.
I look for a chair, and the chair's already. Just go ahead and sit down, man. I'm like, oh my god, So, but I've had PAs who weren't like that.
Yeah.
Where I'm like, yo, where's my chair? And then
so they don't know the body language and all that.
They're like, what?
Yeah.
And no, but then you go, can I get a chair? They're like, well, where? From where? I don't know. Just go find it. That's your job. So like that. But you really don't know that until you get good ones, and then you realize like, whoa, the difference. But no, I've never really had anybody. I mean, there was a couple DPs who I gave opportunities to who just didn't know the lighting names or who just didn't really know how to dictate to like a crew, especially a crew who was older than them. Because sometimes I would give a DP an opportunity, maybe because they had a camera or they'd been contacting me for a while, and I'm like, yeah, he works dope or whatever. But they'd only done stuff with their friends or on very small scale jobs. So then I'm like, look, I'm gonna get you this gaffer or this gaffer and his truck and whatever, so that you can have all the lights you want and stuff. And they kind of freeze up. I've had that happen a couple times. It's not that they didn't know what they were doing; they just didn't know how to ask for what they wanted and stuff like that. So like that kind of took a long time. But yeah, no, I've never had anyone just like completely like, how do I press record?
No, that's good. That's crazy. So I want to touch back kind of from film school and stuff like that. And then another interview I'd seen you had done after graduating film school, you actually landed a job that was almost paying you like $100K a year or something like that. But you, of course, you left that job to pursue your artistry.
Yep.
I would say you're super successful now on on what you do and where you've come from. But do you ever think back on like the past, like what would have happened if you didn't pursue your artistry?
No, I don't. I mean, I guess no, I don't look back on it like what would have happened. I mean, I do sometimes. Like I already know what would have happened, and I could already foresee it at that time. That's why I was like, yo, I gotta bounce. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because at that time, money meant nothing to me. Like, not that it does so much now either, but I had the freedom to like do whatever I wanted to do at that time. I was 22 years old, so fresh out of college, so I still had the excuse to like couch surf and do all that stuff if needed, right? Like it wasn't like the plan.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I was at my plateau there. It wasn't a real production company. It was like a guy who had these who was like a multi-millionaire off of vitamins. So then he started like a record label that's like a second business. So I was doing all these videos and all this stuff, and then he like fired his whole staff, and it was just me. I was like, okay, I'm already at the top. Like there's no other, there's nothing else. There's nothing else for me here. So, and I knew like he wasn't like really in the industry. Like it wasn't like I was working for like Warner Records or wherever, you know what I mean? Like or Interscope or something. I was just working for this like just small business that this guy had created. I mean, it was still a multi-million-dollar business, but like I said, to me, I could care less about the money at that point. So, but no, I mean, I look back going, damn, I was crazy because like I didn't save up, I didn't think about it at all. Just one day, I'm just sitting there and I was like, fuck. I started crying and I called my dad. I'm like, Dad, what do I do? Like, because I was like more like, what do I do? I wasn't happy because I was like, he was sitting next to me and we had stopped doing all the music videos, or I think we had finished all the music videos. He had 3 artists and he did double CDs for each of them, and we shot music videos for every song. So it was like crazy, right?
Yeah, it is.
But like some of them were just like, just go into the studio or whatever, right? But I didn't care. I was 22, like whatever, right? But then we started working on his infomercials for his vitamins because like this is how he was a multi-millionaire, like was selling these. And so I made this like fake news. It looked like a fake news cast, but it wasn't. So it was like, yo, take these vitamins or you're gonna die, pretty much. You know what I mean?
Damn.
Because it was like targeted at older people.
Folks,
right. And so they didn't know. They were gonna be like, oh my god, the news says we have to buy these. You know? But so he was sitting next to me and I was doing that, and I was like, and then he left for lunch, and I just like called my dad. I said, what do I do? He's like, are you growing? And I'm like, no. He's like, are you gonna grow? I'm like, no. And he's like, all right, you know what to do. So I was like, okay. Grabbed my bag and I just walked straight out. I didn't tell anybody. I just remember just walking out, And and they sent me my last check in the mail, and that was it. You know, but I wish I would have been a little bit more prepared. But I mean, I can't take anything back because I mean, I wouldn't be. I think if I would have saved, maybe I didn't leave, and then I wouldn't be here. Or if I just missed that opportunity to go to San Diego by 1 week, to shoot the Lil Wayne concert.
Yeah.
If I just missed that, then I wouldn't have met Ski, and then I wouldn't have done the game video, and
Exactly.
then like so.
Everything happened for a reason.
And everything happened at a certain,
everything fell into place for you.
Yeah.
at a certain time. You know, it was all timing. But at the same time, I also had been preparing for this moment. Like I didn't know what the moment was going to be, but the opportunity. I was preparing for the opportunity when I was in film school. I was staying after class. I was asking teachers about all these questions about things, to the point where they were like, "Hey, you're okay, man. Like just chill, just go. The class is excused. I got another class coming in here. Like you've been here for 3 hours."
Yeah.
And so I was just I just took things very seriously, and I'd done internships. I was editing every single day. So when the opportunity arose, I was off to the races. And then as the other ones began to come in, I was prepared. I was ready
Right.
to go. So
Yeah.
That's dope.
Yeah, I kind of wanted to dive a little bit deeper and kind of backtrack into, you being at the record company, because I think most people, you went to the record company right out of college, right? And most people would be good with, having a stable job, making good money, but it sounded like when you were at the company, like it kind of put you in a dark place, and I kind of wanted to shed light on like some of the struggles you faced, like especially during that time, like what was going through your mind and how did you overcome that?
Well, I just didn't really, at that point, I didn't understand. I mean, even now, like I just got a corporate job now. I just stepped into a corporate role, and I still don't understand the functionality of it all. But I was always like an artist, and so I wanted to do things that I wanted to do, which is not correct. I mean, it's partly correct, but not really. Because if you think like that, you won't get any work. 'Cause
Right.
unless you're like really, really good and you have a very distinct style or something that people are coming there for, but it takes so many years.
Right.
But I was just unhappy because I always wanted to learn more, and so
Right.
there was nobody in this company or in this building to be able to show me anything other than what I had already known, because I was the top dog.
Right.
And that was the most, I guess, like frustrating and daunting thing for me to like look forward to every day. I wanted somebody to show me anything about the industry, anything about the world or about life or about just the field I was going into. You know what I mean?
Right.
I was like a sponge, and I still am. I always want to learn. Unfortunately, like I didn't realize that, I guess, being talented and also being hardworking kind of scares your potential mentors away. Not scares them, but like you're their competition, so they don't want to fucking teach you anything. I didn't know that, right? Like I didn't know that until many years down the road, when I was like trying to shake my mentor, like my people I look up to's hands. They're like, bro, don't shake. Like I'm supposed to be shooting this video. I'm like, I don't know, like whatever.
Damn.
But that was like, I think the biggest thing for me was like, I'm not gonna learn anything.
Right.
And like the money, I didn't. $100,000 at that point, I didn't understand like, the average income back then was probably like 30,000. I didn't. That was like not even on my mind.
Right,
You know what I mean? Like 10,000 a month. I was like, whatever. I could care less. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I was more thinking about like, how am I gonna grow? How am I gonna continue this like evolution of, I guess, my artistry, and also like Matt as a human being
Okay.
at this company.
Right.
And there was nothing within the vision I could see.
Yeah.
For a few years that would move me past where I was at, and that was very, very
Exactly.
so
So
scary for me.
during that transition between you leaving the company and before getting one of the biggest life-changing roles with shooting the Lil Wayne concert, were you like kind of like struggling? Were you like in a that must have been tough, like being in that space of like nothing?
No, so I mean, when I left there, that was like the easiest time for me. Like,
really?
yeah,
Okay.
I was couch surfing and stuff like that, but like I already knew I was going to be successful. Like I already knew that I had put the work in. I knew, I didn't know how good I was, but I knew I was good at what I did, because I got A's on my, in class.
Right.
I went above and beyond in film school, and I got all the accolades, and I was already doing internships. The way I got the job was I had done like a 6-month internship, and they hired me from the internship when I graduated. So like, I already knew that, like the talent was there, the work ethic was there,
The potential, yeah.
it was already there.
Yeah,
It was gonna pop regardless. So like that, at that time of my life, I didn't even like, I was almost like an outer body experience, because I wasn't really, it didn't matter to me if I was eating top ramen and sleeping on a couch. I just didn't even like trip. I was just like,
That's dope.
Where's my opportunity? Where's my opportunity? I wasn't like, oh man, this is no. I was like looking so much in the future that it didn't bother me at all. And I knew it was temporary. I knew, I realize now, like, everything's temporary, like even your ups and your downs. But like at that point, I was just like, all right, let's like, I wasn't even in a
Right.
rush, to be honest, either.
Yeah.
I was more like just cruising. So, so yeah, I mean, it wasn't really that rough. I mean, maybe people's perception, but I think that's people's perception of other people's perception of them.
Right,
I
right.
didn't care what people thought of me at that point.
Yeah.
I had a few friends, so like, and no one knew who Matt Alonso was at that point. So like,
Yeah.
it wasn't like I had like all this like pressure or expectation
Yeah,
other
yeah.
than myself, and I knew that I was gonna, come into that.
Yeah.
So so yeah, I don't know. I didn't trip.
Yeah, that's dope.
Yeah, that is
because
dope.
most people would flop during that time. But
Yeah.
since you were looking so far into the future and you knew the potential that you had, you kept strong. And I think most people wouldn't be in that place.
I mean, one thing you have to know about life, and you have to know about filmmaking even more so too, is trials and tribulations are going to come. Like, you have to be resilient, and
Right.
you have to learn resilience, right? Like,
Yeah.
because if on set your permit gets pulled, or your camera breaks, or
Yeah.
you don't have the right lens, or your talent's late, what are you
Right.
going to do? Are you going to crumble and fall? No, you have
Right.
to pivot, and you have to be able to still complete the task however it needs to get done. But you have to have the resilience and the wherewithal to be able to just pivot and go right into that next step,
Right,
and that's
right.
obviously with life as well,
Yeah.
right? So like, yes, I think most people would have crumbled, but that's why there's certain people who make it and others who don't, and so when those times come, I mean, it's really easy when things are great,
Right.
sure,
Yep.
right? But
Yep.
it's not until you get tested to figure out who you are, and so those kind of tests just like even put more confidence on top of my shoulders,
Yeah.
more than I already had, you know
Yeah.
what I
Yeah,
mean? So
yeah, yeah.
Sure.
because I was like, I can make it through that, like,
You can make it to
Yeah.
anything.
yeah, whatever, you know
Exactly,
what I mean?
exactly. So
That's dope.
we kind of touched on Lil Wayne a little bit. That was definitely a life-changing gig for you. How did it pretty much jump-started your career? Like, how did you land that gig?
So the gig was actually a $200 concert video. That was the ask for the opening act. I didn't know that Lil Wayne was even going to be at this concert.
Yeah.
I was.
Oh,
It was at the time where I was just kind of couch surfing. My car got repossessed. I'm eating Top Ramen, and I'm kind of taking anything I can on Craigslist because like there was really no other ways to get jobs at that time. So
Yeah.
Craigslist, and then my boy who worked at the record company I just quit. He was like, "Hey, I have these guys in San Diego. They're opening at the House of Blues. That they need a video shot for like $300 or $200." I was like,
Yeah.
"All right, cool, let's go down there." And so I pull up, and then I see Lil Wayne on the marquee, and I was like, I was such a huge fan of Wayne at the
Yeah.
time. Like
Yeah.
Carter 2, it was
Oh,
about,
yeah. Yeah,
So
for
like,
sure, yeah.
I was just, I mean, I still love those albums, but so I was like, "Yo, what the?" I was like
You're
freaking
tripping,
out,
yeah.
I was tripping,
Yeah.
So yeah, we ended up. My roommate, shout out to Royal Honor, he ended up talking to Wayne's manager, and they were like, "Yo, you guys have to leave after the opening act because like you can't film Wayne, no shooting, whatever."
Yeah.
And so he's like, "Nah, come on, but whatever." And then eventually he came back to me. He's like, "Yo, can you shoot Wayne's thing and then edit like a trailer for him? He's going to Europe, and so can you put like these countries and make a little trailer for his Europe tour?" I'm like, "Absolutely." He's like, "All right,
Right.
you guys can shoot it."
Oh,
So
shit.
then we shot it. I took it home that night, drove back from San Diego, and YouTube was not popping at all.
Yeah.
YouTube
Right,
was
right,
like
right.
there was nothing going on. But
Right.
I just had this sense that was going to be my opportunity. That was going to be my platform. That was going to
big,
be like
yeah.
my way to reach the world. So I edited this video. I think we had 2 cameras or maybe even 1 camera angle, and I just put a bunch of split screens and color corrected and all these things that people weren't really doing at the time.
Right.
And then I put it on YouTube the next day. Lil Wayne official music video is what I titled it. And like nobody was doing this. Like nowadays,
Right.
everyone does
Yeah,
all this
yeah,
stuff.
exactly,
So
yeah.
back then, nobody
Trolling,
like
yeah.
nothing, right? So
Yeah.
then
Right.
MTV, VH1, all these people started putting it on their website as like an official video.
Oh,
Man, that's
shit.
crazy.
And so then it got like 1 million.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
I
damn.
think I was one of the first to get 1 million, or maybe we were the first to get 1 million on a music
Video?
like a music
Yeah,
video. And so that like DJ Ski, he was Games DJ. He had just started Ski TV. And then he reached out. Back then, you could message on YouTube, so he messaged me on YouTube. I didn't see it for like 2 weeks. I was still eating Top Ramen, just bumming. And then I was like, "Wait, I have an inbox?"
Yeah, right.
And I was like, "Oh, Ski,
Yeah.
I know who this guy is. 'Cause
Yeah.
he was in all games videos and stuff."
Yeah.
But he had like 5 videos on his channel, and so we
Yeah.
teamed up. And then, within like 3 or 4 weeks, we were shooting Travis Barker and The Game, Dope Boys, and
Yeah.
Turn My Swag On, Fly Like
Yeah.
a G6, all those
Yeah,
videos.
That's so
That's
dope. When
crazy.
you
Yeah.
were filming that Lil Wayne concert, what camera were you using at that time?
A DVX which is like the Panasonic 20. It was like the Panasonic 24 frame camera.
Yeah.
And then an HVX had just came out, which is 1920 by 1080 had just came out.
Oh,
right.
yeah.
It just came out. It was like revolutionary at that time, right? And so that was the other camera that I had. So. And he had like this big hard drive. I have pictures of it, and I have this big hard drive on my hip that you plug it into the camera.
Oh,
it looked like an actual like G drive or like a hard drive, like you would carry on your belt. It was crazy. It was crazy. So like that's what I shot on. I mean, obviously, like even to this day, I don't really cameras are like I don't. Give me anything. Give me your cell phone. Give me a VH. I don't care.
Exactly.
You know, like I just because I believe in my talent. I can make anything.
Talent
with
speaks
anything.
for itself.
Yeah, I'm good with anything.
So that video you made for Wayne back in the day, do you think he ever saw it?
Yeah, I think he did see it, and because they invited me to come out and shoot the behind the scenes of the Lollipop video, which was in Vegas. So we went out to the Maloof's house, who were the owner of the Sacramento Kings at the time, and that's where I met Tyga. That's where I met Kendrick, and then when I came back to LA, I was shooting with Tyga, Kendrick, and Schoolboy for like the next like 2 years, and they were like they were like, you know, they hadn't even popped off yet. Like Kendrick was still known as K Dot. He changed his name. We actually have a video the day he changed his name and shot like the music video on that day. You know, so like those were the guys that I shot with, and they didn't pop off for a little bit, but like I mean I would imagine he saw it, or at least his team saw it. You know what I mean? And then you know, I don't know who knows, because he was, you know, doing his lean and all that stuff like that. I don't know.
It was Wayne at the time.
I don't know. I don't think
the Carter.
I don't think he was like, let me see that video. That's cool. I don't think so. But regardless, it did what it needed to do.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And to be honest, I don't know how many artists really watch the videos, and like not too many artists even read the treatments. They look at a couple of pictures, they go, all right, bet, that's dope.
So they're relying on you like 100%. Very much.
Yeah, 100%. That's why it's like it's already like an accomplishment to get that opportunity. Like, and you have to take it so seriously. Just getting a person who has an established brand to say, I trust you with my brand, that you're gonna either, you know, you're gonna take it to the next level. Bare minimum, you're just gonna keep me where it's at, right? You're not gonna fuck with my brand, right? They're basically saying that without saying that. And you know, not until later on in my career did I realize like how big of a, you know, responsibility and like an honor that is, right? To have an established brand like really trust you with their life.
Exactly.
You know what? It's funny because that's the same thing with me. Like, you know, usually once I finish like a treatment, a shot list, I'll pass it off to the artist because I want them to know what we're gonna be working on. And you know, they're like within like maybe a couple minutes they'll send me email, looks good. I was like, okay, I mean, we're good to go then, you know. So I get what you're saying too, and I didn't know, like, because you know, of course we never worked on like big sets or anything like that, but you know, with your caliber and working with these artists, I've actually thought they'd want to dive in a little bit more, and you know.
Nah, I mean, I think once, especially once, you know, I think after like our third video with Game, there's a video on MTV because MTV News came to our set, and he's like, I don't know, Matt Alonso makes the treatments, I don't read them. All I know is that, you know, he makes the treatments, he has his vision, I trust it. I just show up, and the videos are always dope. So that's it.
That's fire.
That's dope,
you know what I mean?
That's fire when the artist can trust you like that.
So like when I showed up for Martians vs. Goblins, we had already shot, I think, The City with Kendrick, and we had shot the first video. The first video, he was like looking at me like, who is this like fresh-faced little Mexican dude? Like, who the hell is this dude? You know? And then for that video, the game, the Dope Boys video, like there's a drug scene, and we have all these Mexicans like doing these drug deals, and like Game comes in and like does a little deal, but I had girls that were supposed to play those characters, and these girls had like bright pink bathing suits and all this shit. He's like, nah, bro. He's like, girls cut up cocaine like naked.
Right.
And I'm like, okay. And then Interscope's like, no, you can't do them naked. You have to do them like that. And so he was like, yo, this dude knows nothing about like what he's doing or whatever. Right. Luckily, I had, you know, one of my Mexican homies who was really good friends with Ski. His name's Lulu, and he was like, yo, I got all my people here. And so then they came in and did that. But like just me. Did the shot list. I walked up to him with a crazy shot list. He's like, yo, what? You know, and then I'm like, all right, so these girls are gonna be cutting up your cocaine game, and he's like, nah, bro, and I'm like, okay. So he already was like, yo, this dude's wild, but after that video came out, it got a great response, and then we did the next one. When we showed up to Martians vs. Goblins, I'm like, okay, so I started walking him through what we were gonna do, because we had to actually paint his whole face and like put like all these contacts in his eyes, and we were fucking up his Jordans. We put like spaghetti in his Jordans to make it look like intestines. And I told him like, a sentence. I'm like, okay, we're gonna paint your face. He's like, bro, whatever you want me to do, just tell me where to go. Like, whatever you want to do. I'm like,
Yeah, he's down.
yo, Chuck, we're gonna fuck up your Jordans. He's like, bet, bro, whatever you want me to do. I'm like,
Yeah.
all right. So
That's dope.
yeah. So after
Yeah.
that, I was
He
like,
trusted
all
you
right, cool.
fully after that one.
100%,
Yeah, that's dope.
Yeah,
That's
because
dope.
I mean, the reaction of the videos were real big. So
Yeah. No, that's dope.
Yeah, that is dope.
I mean, to be honest, like if you're an artist, you have and even like as a director, like we have so many responsibilities that if you assign somebody a task, you don't necessarily want to micromanage them,
Right,
right?
exactly.
Like you
Yeah.
just want to be able to trust that they're gonna do however they're gonna get it done.
Right.
They're just gonna get it done, and it's gonna be whatever resemblance of
Right.
whatever you guys agreed
Yeah,
to. You know what I mean?
exactly.
Like if you have to micromanage it, like it's
Yeah.
just not. It's not really beneficial.
Facts,
You might as well
yeah.
just do it yourself at that
Exactly.
point. You know?
Yeah. If you want to micromanage,
So,
yeah, for
yeah.
sure. So people who might know you only from social media or like the work that
Tinder?
you've done or Tinder might look up to you and be like, I want to be him.
Lady.
Yeah, let's go. Not really realizing the dedication and work it took to be where you are now.
Yeah.
What are some like life lessons you've learned along the way being in this industry?
Let's see, life lessons. I think balance is one that you don't necessarily learn, but you learn to include it a little bit more. I mean, obviously,
Yeah.
there's a certain time of your life and your career that you can kind of like go 10 toes and just like go hard, but you know you can't do it forever. So you got to start thinking about like balancing and kind of like putting your body and like for me, I'd be editing 18, 20 hours a day, bro. And sometimes I'd be doing like 48, 72 hour sessions. You know what I mean? Just because I'd be like so tapped in and I'd just be just locked in the mode, because I don't really edit anymore, but so much. But I used to just be 100%,
Right.
and 10 years of that shit is not the best on your body,
Right,
right?
yeah.
So
Adds up,
it's just
yeah.
kind of like being able to find the right team and then be able to kind of delegate is one, I think, life lesson to be able to prolong your career,
Yeah.
right? Your longevity, because you can't do it yourself for so long. And really just I think the biggest I guess it's life lesson and more so career lesson would be to not necessarily care about what you want to do as an artist, right? Like, so if a project comes and you're like, oh, I want to do this certain thing because you want to do it, and more so about what's going to be good for the brand or the company that you're working for. Because I think a lot of times we get confused with like, oh, we're artists, or I want to do it this way, or if somebody has notes and you're kind of like offended or whatever. I've never felt that way, but I've seen people who have, and there was a time in my career where I wanted to write treatments and I only wanted to do the way that I wanted to do them.
Right.
But I wasn't thinking about like the brand first. I was just thinking about what I wanted to do. Like, oh, let's just do the artist upside down and all this stuff. But it's like Beyonce. Like, you don't put Beyonce upside down or whatever, right? Like, I'm just using that as an example.
Exactly,
But what I'm saying is like really figure out, because our job, if you want to be successful in terms of financially, it's about taking the brand and then putting your spin, putting your sauce on it, but also not deviating too much from that brand, and then giving it to the audience the way. It's really about the audience, or whatever the audience wants from that brand, right? And if you can just be that middleman, that middle pusher, like that's where you'll be the most successful. I didn't learn that until like 10 years down the line. So like that was super beneficial. But other than that, I mean, I don't know. If you work in the entertainment industry, it's really hard to have a sustainable relationship.
Oh, because you're always on the move.
You're always on the move. You're always around
busy.
like really beautiful ladies.
Yeah,
and,
exactly.
And you're always busy, and you don't learn you don't use and sharpen your tools for some of the things necessary for a relationship, like communication and all these things, right? Especially if you're a director, you're more a dictator, right? So that it doesn't necessarily work when you get home. You're like, yo, make me some food. Like, cut. Get her out of here. Like,
I bet it works in bed though. Yeah, you go over here. You go over here. This is the right angle right here.
Which is very surprising, you know what I mean? But at the same time, like, so it just depends about figuring out what you want, what you want in life. Not only so much your career, but like your life, because you can have a very successful career, and I've learned this down the line is like, okay, I have a very successful career, but like I don't really have a life. Like, I mean, I don't really have a wife and the kids and all these things,
that
right?
balance,
I mean, and it's because it takes so much time away. And then when you're like in the mix, sometimes if you're so focused on your career, then you'll just let other things go by because they're not the priority, you know.
Yeah,
but it's to each his own. But it's really about understanding that and knowing it, so that you're making the choices that are going to most align with whatever you want in 10 years, not right now.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
And your other partner relationship needs to understand that as well.
Yeah,
that's the hard
that
part.
only goes so far.
Exactly.
That only goes so far because like you have to do your part as well, right? And when you're always on the computer, whatever, like. You know, that's why but it's like if you don't want a relationship, then just don't get in one. But like for me, and this is just like a bigger life lesson. It's more about just figuring out where your life is in 10 years, where that is. What does it look like? Not just your career, but like just what does your life look like? Are you living in a house? Are you traveling? Are you doing this? Are you doing that? Whatever it is, right? And then so you just work your way back, and then all your choices are pretty much made for you. But if you're making choices like daily, just off the whim or off how you're feeling, your shit's gonna be all fucked up in 10 years. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So like that's the biggest life lesson. So then you know, because if you do the work back, then you can align yourself with whatever the best choices for that long-term goal. You know.
Yeah, that's dope. I think a lot of people can learn from that. We definitely did. You know, that's great advice for sure. Switching over to your Instagram, you know, you call yourself the content king. I'm curious to know the background behind that title and why not the king of music videos or directing.
Because like there was like music video god and all those like guys. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I always found it funny when people had like a music video name. Like,
Really?
People are like, yo, you direct videos? And I'm like, yeah. They're like, what's your name? And I'm like, what do you mind? I'm not a rapper. I'm like Matt Alonzo. They're like, no. But what's like your name? You know? I'm like Matt Alonzo. No, I mean for that, you know, I always just messed around with Instagram. I think before that it was like, I don't remember what it was. It was some sort of joke or something, but I was talking to someone, they're like, yeah, content is king. I was like, yo, I'm the content king. And so I just changed it that day, as a joke. Like I don't know, I don't take social media that seriously. You know what I mean? You know, I got pictures with a Tinder swindler on there and stuff. So like, you know what I mean? I keep it pretty light, you know?
Yeah. No, that's still dope though. You know, we kind of touched on this a little bit about like cameras, and you know, cameras don't really matter to you. So I think there's, you know, tons of videographers, filmmakers out there that truly rely on just getting the new tech and new cameras, and it's going to make your videos and films look a lot better. But I think a lot of them lose sight on the actual story. For you, I've noticed you totally vouch on using pretty much any camera, but still like maintaining amazing imagery and story. Like, have you always had that mentality?
Yeah. I mean, I think, you know, coming up as a child, you know, we didn't have all the, I guess like all, you know, we were a pretty low to middle class family. You know, my parents had me at 16, 17. So like we weren't, you know, we didn't have all the finer things. So we made do with whatever we had. And I knew that I was successful with the tools that I had growing up and like being in these film classes and doing all these things. And I was able to like generate reactions from people who were watching my films as a child. So I knew that was the only, outcome that you ever wanted, right? Like you don't really, because like you could have a really nice thing, and if no one's laughing or no one's crying or no one's actually like, you know, reacting to what's on the screen, then it's not successful. So I already knew I could be successful with what I had, so I knew that going on. And in film school, it just kind of reiterated that. And then when I got out of film school, I could, you know, like, I was the first one to ever shoot on a Red, but I was also one of the first ones to ever shoot a music video on the 7D, you know? So, and we kind of, I mean, I think we single-handedly changed the industry in terms of budgets, because when I got the opportunity with Interscope, with Game, you know, it was like, hey, give us like 20 grand. Like, let us just try a video. So we were doing like B records that weren't supposed to come out. And they were like, here's 10 grand. Like, ha, ha, ha. Right. And so we were like, let's just use whatever we had. You know, luckily, the Red was unknown commodity at the time. And the guys that graduated LA Film School, they had just got a job working at a rental house, and they had like 10 of the first Reds, and they were like, we have no idea what these are. So we were able to take them out.
Oh, shit.
But you know, the quality was great at the time. I mean, it was really nice.
During the time,
but
was it the red ones?
Yeah, red ones. Yeah. Red ones. And you could just drop your files right in the Final Cut back in those days. But we also shot on the 7D, 5D. I shot the Lil Wayne thing on mini DV tapes, right? So So I mean, I was always very, you know, I mean, and I'm an editor, so like I can make anything look good, right? From like the editing standpoint. So I always knew that, you know, it doesn't matter about your camera. And I've also seen a lot of people have really nice equipment and their shit sucks.
Right.
Like, I mean, just
Yeah,
straight like
facts.
trash. Like,
Facts.
not
Yeah,
even
for
like.
sure.
And then I also
Yeah.
realized there's two type of people, right? Like, there's tech geeks or tech people. I wouldn't even say geeks because like tech people, right? I only say geeks because like, was that Best Buy or something?
Geek Squad.
But like,
Geek
yeah,
Squad,
but like tech people who are really like, well, that camera has 4.5 gamma and like, okay, cool. Like
Yeah.
you're that guy, right? And
Yeah.
you should go talk to somebody else who talks your language, right? And there's
Right.
people who shoot, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
like, we don't really care what
Yeah.
it is, right? Like, I mean, I know all my settings, I know all that stuff, but like, I'm not gonna get lost in the numbers and
Yeah,
stuff,
yeah,
like
yeah.
lost in the sauce because it has
Yeah.
it has no determination on how my audience is going to react or if they're going to react or not. Really, it's
Right,
up to
right.
me how I'm able to use this tool to generate the outcome that I want, you
Yeah,
know?
that's facts.
And that's really what you,
Yeah.
as a
Yeah.
filmmaker, it's how do I use this tool or whatever tool it is
Right.
to generate the outcome that I want, you know what I mean? And most of the time it's to sell a product or, I mean, you know, the whole thing with storytelling is it's supposed to be a cathartic release,
Yeah.
right? You're supposed to like somehow relate to it internally and have some sort of aspect of your life that you're able to go through a journey with this character with, you know, alongside yourself, right? And and maybe come to some sort of revelation or at least come to some sort of like full circle of emotion when you come out of it. Now for shorter term things, it's supposed to be the same, but you're also trying to sell something most of the time, right? Whether
Right.
it's branded content, whether it's just a reel and you're trying to sell yourself, right? Like there's always some sort of point there. So unless it is beneficial for selling the point, like a certain, we need it to be 3D for this sort of, you know, this certain reason.
Yeah.
Shit.
No, you're good.
That's what
You
it
saved it. You saved it. You saved it.
then you know there's no real reason. But if you focus on just like how do I create this reaction with what I have, you're gonna be all right.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
And really the reason that I started that was because I had a lot of kids that were contacting me saying, "Oh, I wish I had this camera, or I
Right.
wish I could had this light, because then I could be successful."
Yep.
And
Right,
I
right.
was always that inspired me to create the split screen, like where I showed the behind the scenes on top and the outcome on the bottom.
Yeah.
I was the first person to ever do that.
Yeah.
Right? Like it was at night when, you know, maybe 10 years ago, 7 years ago, whenever, and I woke up and I was like, oh, 3 in the morning, I'm like, I gotta do that, and I did it. I did the first one, and now everybody does it. If you ever
Right.
see
Yeah.
the split screen,
Yes,
right?
I
I started
yes.
that,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
But I started that with the intent to show everybody, specifically the kids who had been emailing me or DMing me about how they wish they could have these,
Right.
you know, because then their stuff could look like mine. And I'm like, yo, here you go. You can actually see it. Sometimes it is
Yeah.
shot like that, and sometimes it's not. You know, French Montana, Ocho Cinco shot on 70. You know what I mean?
Right.
That's
$5,000
crazy.
budget.
Yeah,
you know what I'm
that's
saying?
crazy.
Like, so, but that was what inspired that, so I could actually show these kids. And really, it was just about giving hope to
Yeah.
the kid who's like sitting at home with a 6100 or 5100 or a cell phone, and like, I can't make anything. It's like,
Right.
But and then I realized down the line, like, okay, that person's gonna find something. Even if they get a red, they're gonna be like,
Yeah.
well, I don't have the red this.
Exactly.
You know? So there's always gonna be a reason, and the person who actually wants to like move forward is gonna move forward with whatever they have.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah,
So
no.
No,
Facts.
that's some good advice though. Honestly,
Yeah.
you already gave a lot of tips just within that.
tips getting tipsy.
I was like, damn.
Yeah,
I
no,
need to
that-
start writing this
Nah,
down.
no.
I need
We're
to
gonna watch back
rewatch
this podcast. Yeah.
Hey,
So
tips getting tipsy.
no,
Right.
facts. So like you did mention, you're an editor, and I've noticed you're pretty much the one that edits a majority of your videos. Have you ever like hired anybody or let anyone else work on your videos, or do you just love the whole post-production process?
It's a love hate, but I mean, I started editing when I was 8, and when I went to college my first year or two, all I wanted to do was edit. So I used to edit everyone's projects, and then I realized like, yo, I'm making you horrible directors look good. So I'm like, I want to shoot too. So so I started directing and editing. I got out to LA after like my first year. I was getting so much work that I'm like, okay, I need to start, you know. My agents were like, okay, we got to start getting some sort of system in place so you can
Right.
do 5, 10, 15 videos a month, right?
Right.
Because you're in such high demand. So I'm like, all right, cool, let's set up these post houses, do all these things. And I work with a ton, you know, post house editors, all these different things. And no one ever panned out. I mean, it's also because I shoot in a certain style. So
Yeah.
it's like, you know, it's really hard to relay that. A lot of people will be a little bit more organized in terms of like shot lists, and then they'll do out storyboards. But when you're doing $20,000 jobs and it's so quick, you don't really have time to go spend $5,000
Yeah.
on storyboards and shot lists and all this stuff. And then like, you know, and so a lot of times it's just kind of like getting, and then your artist comes and they have a feature. Oh, hey, so such and such is here. Ben Baller's here for 2 minutes. Get this cameo or whatever.
Yeah.
Like you
Right.
can't. So there's all these like wild cards, you know. So you know, giving that footage over to somebody who wasn't on set, there's a big disconnect. And then
Right.
being realistic, even if you have $1,000 to give to the editor, say that editor has $1,500 or $2,000 in bills, they have to edit at least 2 projects a month. At least, right? So like yours plus another $1,000 project. Just saying, like $1,000, even sometimes is not even, sometimes we don't even have that for the editor. So, so like that person can only actually like allocate a certain amount of time of their month to your project, and most of the time it's not going to be the time that you're going to put in to go through like all the little things, because a lot of the times I'll be like a rollout, like something that I'm like cut, and then like the camera's over here, but maybe the artist or the way the lens flare or something, I have no idea, but I'll use it, and I realize I can't expect these people who are coming in, these editors or these post house, to come in who are on 9 to 5s to be able to like put that sort of like life energy into my project. So when I was looking at the difference between like life energy Matt edits and then like 9 to 5 big post house, it was just this one felt better to me, and so I just continued to edit everything. There was times where the post house would edit and the label would say yes, I would take the video back, re-edit it myself, turn off my phone. People, the label's calling me because like they're like, yo, we got this, the video's supposed to premiere today, and I've just re-edited the entire video.
No, I fully resonate with that, because even when it comes to me, when I write up the treatments, the shot list, I already have the vision of how I want to shoot a music video. And, once we agreed with the artist and they love it, I also want to be the one to edit my projects, because my first experience was artists needed a video. I couldn't, finish it at a certain time that they needed it. So I was like, you know what, I'll give you all the raw files. I'll let you guys find an editor and do it. And once she released the video and I look back, I'm like, God damn, this was not how I envisioned it. Like it turned out worse than what I wanted to have it look like. So that's like, at that point, that's where I was like, you know what, I think I definitely love editing my own videos. But then the other thing is, like you said, it's a love and hate relationship with editing. I hate editing.
Time consuming.
Yeah, it's so time consuming.
My whole life, Like I said, like I've ruined relationships. I've missed funerals. I've missed weddings. You know what I mean? Just being tapped in.
Right.
So and then it's like, for me, I've learned now that I have like OCPD, which is like more of a personality. I have traits of more of a personality. Than the actual like wash your hands, but it's more of a perfectionist type of thing. So I have these traits sometimes where I'll get locked in and it has to be perfect, and like I'll re-edit 15 seconds for 72 hours, right? Like and then if no one's around and I'm not showing it to anybody, I'll take a piss, come back, and I'm like, yo, this is trash. And I'll scrap the whole thing, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's crazy.
So then I had to learn to like, okay, I had to show it to people, maybe even have somebody at the house, like, so they can be like, okay, they can watch me and then just like tell me, you know what I mean? Because like sometimes I'll just get too tapped in, and that's where I was like, all right, but it's really hard to find somebody that, that's, because the good editors are going to get taken away pretty quickly. And I've had some good editors maybe do, like Fly Like a G6, I had an editor, but then he became like the head of Oprah's network editing and post-production, right? Like, so, like the good ones are going to get taken up really quickly. And then there's ones where you can kind of show, but yeah, they're going to stay around until they're pretty good. And then, like music videos, you can only offer them so much money, you know what I mean? And a lot of people, I never held it against them if they could go get an opportunity where there was more money, right? And some, like, a lot of times it's like some months you get 10 videos, some months you get 1 video, you know what I mean? So like it's ups and downs, so you can't really like keep these people on payroll like that. So it's very tough to keep that consistency unless it's you. But then when you do it yourself, it's really hard for you to obviously do multiple, because the time is just gone with the treatment, the shoot, and then the editing. I mean,
it's tiring.
It's a month,
So exactly. So we've heard artists like Chris Brown, like to be involved into the editing process. We've kind of adapted to that concept as well. When we're shooting music videos, we invite the artists over all the time, and it saves so much time, eliminating sending rough cuts back and forth and everything. And it's been really successful for us to not only relay our vision but their vision as well. When it comes to your editing process, do you prefer to work alone, or if there's a celebrity, I'm assuming they don't have that type of time, but
no,
would you
they
prefer
do. I mean, and
over?
At first I used to like to just go alone and just like I hated it, but then I started working with Tyrese, and Tyrese, I used to bring my entire computer just to Tyrese's house.
Damn, that's
and
crazy.
So I just be sitting there editing. I remember one time he had a rap party before we were even done. He was like, yeah, we're done with the edit. I'm like, bro, we're not done. I'm like just because like you wrote the notes you wanted for the rest of the 2 minutes doesn't mean I'm done, By the time I like put my head up, there's people coming in. He's like, yo, we have a screening, and I'm like, We had the strippers getting set up over there. Like it was, bro, full blown, like 500 people. Just like I'm sitting there, like they're just like, yeah, show them the video, show them the video. I'm like, it's not done.
Yeah, that's crazy.
But like then I like, you know, that became enjoyable for me. You know what I mean? And like I said, there's times where I'm alone and the perfectionist creeps up on me, and I definitely now welcome, you know, the other the artist to be there, manager to be there, and then it also strengthens your relationship with them.
That is true,
right?
Yeah.
And like I said, at the end of the day, if the artist is happy and the video is not successful, you're still in a good place because like the artist still fucks with you.
Exactly.
Right? Now if the artist fucks with you and the video is successful, then it's amazing.
Golden, yeah.
If your video is successful and the artist like maybe couldn't get a hold of you for a week because you were like tapped in being perfectionist over here, like I've done a lot of times. Sometimes they, even if the video was successful, they're like, no, I don't want to work with that person anymore because
communication.
I couldn't get a hold of them. Like, and in their mind, they don't know if I'm fucking on Tinder just going nuts or I'm sitting there like working on their video. Like, you know what I mean? Like, even if I tell them, you know, down the line, like, no, bro, I spend every day like. They're still gonna feel some type of way because they're gonna be like, well, if you're working on it, why don't you just answer your phone or whatever, right? Like, so yeah, I mean, it definitely just keeps everything transparent, and I think it's something wise to do. Now you have to judge your artist, and I think this comes down to even picking the jobs that you take, because you have to be very selective, because there's artists who are just not artists and people who just pull your chain and you'll be editing for months and years and shit for $500 and you're like, yo, fuck this.
100%.
You know?
Yeah, facts.
Yeah, that's a great point you point out. Speaking about editing, like I noticed you use a lot of visual effects with your music videos. From your experience, do you think like visual effects plays a big role into when it comes to making your story come to life?
Yeah, I mean, it's not only story, but it's like.
We interrupt this episode with a word from our sponsor. Are you looking for a way to energize for the day? We got a product that will do just that.
Introducing Gamer Subs. Gamer Subs is a keto-friendly, zero-calorie, zero-sugar-based energy drink that introduces nootropics to sharpen focus and increase reaction time.
Gamer Subs is also organic caffeine-based that will maximize energy and endurance. To make it easier, each scoop used is 100 milligrams so you don't go over your daily limit.
Each tub of Gamer Subs contains 100 servings. Gamer Subs also provides caffeine-free tubs for those that just want their daily vitamin dose without the need for caffeine.
Not only do they have energy drinks, they also have dope merch, such as these waifu cups, t-shirts, and hoodies, and much more.
Are you ready to energize with Gamer Subs?
Use our code ArtistYouDrop on their website and receive a 10% off discount.
Hey, now back to the show.
But I mean, I think it was like it's very beneficial for like eye candy, getting people excited and like, yo, that's dope. And then at the same time, we, you know, like I said earlier, a lot of the budgets that we were getting were really small compared to like how videos were ran before that. So we had to implement ways to make them compete with the videos that were $200,000-$500,000, right? And so you know, all we had was either, you know, breaking a lens and putting some glass over it, or you know, doing these tricks in editing. And that was something that I had been practicing in film school. You know, I did all these skate videos. I would literally sit all night and just like drag every single effect onto the clip, and I would just like try like, oh, these 2 or 3, and then I would think of things in my mind, and it helped me later on. So like I mean, was it necessarily needed for the story? I don't know, but I think it was needed just for the overall impact of the video, especially when the budget wasn't anything like the others that were going to be within its, you know, competition. Like I had to find some way to make it attractive.
Right.
Do you ever use like practical quite a bit, or is it just all visual?
Now I use pretty much all practice. I mean, obviously, like the camera shake, all that stuff. Like we pretty much created all that stuff, and you know, like all that stuff. I use diopters and all the filters. I use everything. I try to do as much in camera as possible.
Yeah,
you know?
Exactly.
So,
That saves so much time. Like, because for me, I honestly, I hate like I said, I hate editing. I hate playing with visual effects and stuff. But when I need to, I'll go and do it.
Yeah,
you know, and that's why I've tried. Nowadays is doing a lot more practical, so I can do less work in post and stuff like that.
Yeah, everything. I mean, like, so even like back in the day, like we broke the lens, we put that over, and that's how you got like all the, you know, the multiple people, and then like, you know, putting the cell phone. I think it was like a BlackBerry back in those days. BlackBerry into the lens, and we got lens flares. Like nowadays it's like common sense, but back then no one was doing this stuff. You know what I mean? So we were always trying to find ways, but I would say like 99% of the visual effects I do are all in Premiere. Like I don't ever leave Premiere.
Yeah, exactly.
After Effects
Same,
or
yeah,
anything,
same here. What do you think of the new like filters that have been coming out, like the prism filters that attach to your lens?
Yeah, those are my guys. Shout out to Cinepax. I mean,
Cinepax, okay, cool.
yeah.
They're my homies as well.
Yeah,
I've seen you.
So I have I have the full, I have everything. You know what I mean?
Right.
So like, yeah, I mean, they're all the stuff that we created 10 years ago, 15 years ago.
Yeah.
So you know,
It's a lot more easier to adapt now to lenses, and you don't
Yeah,
really
I
have
mean,
to use broken glass or anymore.
but see, I like using broken glass, you know, and especially like, you know, it's always good to have those things instead of like, well, I don't have my Cinepack, I can't do anything. It's like, nah. Like I was in New York, maybe I don't know, this last winter, and I was shooting a music video at you know, this museum, super dope. What was it? The Donut Museum or the Candy Museum? I don't know what it was. It was a crazy location, but I didn't have a diopter, so I literally just got a Coke bottle, had the PA take it outside, break it, gave me a bunch of shards, and I just
That's dope.
rocked it. It's on my
that's
Instagram, and I showed like how we did it, but like because I didn't have a diopter, I totally forgot to get one. So it's always good to have those skills. I mean, you can either use like a broken piece of glass, or if you have a chandelier near, like that's even better.
Right.
Like just
Yeah.
Pull it out.
I mean, like just a piece of the chandelier because it has so many different edges will
Yeah.
allow really cool effects. And that's what we had to do at the time. Like I said, we didn't have much budget, so we just found creative ways to make our shit look cool and just stand out. So I think if you can, the more you can do, and like the more proactive and the more like innovative you can be, the better.
Right.
Because so their stuff's not generic, right? Because like anybody can go grab XYZ filter and put it over, right? But like and then even if that same person breaks a piece of bottle, it's gonna each piece of broken glass is going to be different, and how you use it,
That is
you know,
true.
all the curvature and all these things, right? So like you know, it definitely just helps you to have your own lane. So
It's all about the creativity.
Exactly.
Yeah, all about creativity. I'm gonna touch on cameras again. I want to know what your favorite camera setup is, because like you, I've gone through so many cameras. You know, I started with a Pentax KX 720.
is.
It's a 720p camera. You know,
Yeah.
But Penta, I've never heard that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
Pentax,
an old like they started off with like digital cameras and stuff like that, and I found out when I started shooting music videos around 2010 2011, you know, and that was one of the first cameras I had found out about. It's shot 720p, so I was like, oh, this is cool, you know. Then Canon T2i comes out, and I got you know Canon T2i.
Yeah. That was, I mean, but like I'm trying to remember, like that was, I think we were still using the 70 and stuff like that.
Yeah,
right?
70
Yeah.
was around at that time as well, and so I went from Pentax to the T2i, then to the 6D, and I've used majority of like DSLRs and mirrorless cameras, but now I finally worked myself up to my current camera setup, which is the Blackmagic 4K.
Yeah, nice.
Paired with my Sigma, that's my go-to. I love that setup right now, and I've been using it for a long time already, and of course I would want to work with a Red and all that, but it's just not in the budget right now. And I've been trying to, like what you said, you got to make do with what you have, and I've been doing that with the Blackmagic, but now I
I
want
love
to
that
know.
camera, especially if you color it in DaVinci. It's
Yeah,
beautiful,
no,
right?
exactly. I feel like it's a beast, and I've seen a lot of other.
It's definitely a beast. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
it is. I've seen so many other short films and music videos shot with it, and I'm like, it looks like it was filmed on a Red, and I'm like, how did they do this?
You don't even need to
Like,
that's the whole, like, don't even get caught up in that sauce like that.
Yeah.
Like just, you don't need to to rash, like, or to, like, oh yeah, it looks like a Red, like, no, fuck it. It looks like what it's supposed to look like, just run it. You know what I mean? Like,
Facts.
Like, just run it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. What it like currently, or I know you love messing around with different cameras, but what is like your favorite camera setup?
I mean, it just depends on what I'm doing, and like, to be honest, I don't have like.
You don't have one.
I mean, I guess it's not favorite, but like, what would I prefer to use, or what would I like to use? I mean, just an Alexa would probably be the best, like, for me personally, just because of the range I can color with, and I just love like it almost has like a film, film-ish look to it, as opposed to like a Red, which is a little bit more digital and crispy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Obviously, it's based on the lenses and all that stuff, but I do appreciate all the craftsmanship that goes into the Alexa, and so that would be like, I guess if I had to choose, like a gun was to my head or something.
Right.
No, I would love to work with an Alexa too.
But other than that, I mean, and they're not that expensive. Like, I rent those things for $500 with lenses and stuff. You're on ShareGrid or whatever. So they're out there. You know what I mean? And then you just like talk to the people, and like maybe you do one on ShareGrid, and then you're like, hey, you have a job, and you just call them directly and whatever, right? Like, I mean, luckily for me, a lot of I was able to like give kids a lot of opportunity after they were on my set. So a lot of kids who had cameras who didn't have opportunities would be like, yo, I'll bring my camera out, whatever. I'm like, all right, bet. Like, bring your camera out for free. Then you watch me work it.
Yeah.
And then they would always get opportunities and go on to like, you know, do movies and whatever. So I had a lot of opportunities to like work with a lot of free cameras, which was great.
Oh yeah, of course.
But yeah, I mean, Alexa is like, you know, I love Red too, because like Red is very responsive. Red is, you know, they sponsored my film league. They sponsored the you know, the masterclass I did with Aperture. Like, they're very involved in the community.
Yeah.
And so I appreciate that. And Alexa's not at all. Ari's just not, like, they just don't care. I mean, it's just, not that they don't care, they just don't need to be, and they have bigger fish to fry, essentially, is my thought about it. Or they're just cocky dicks, which is fine. Which is fine. I appreciate that too. It's all good, right? To each his own. So I mean, the product speaks for itself, and they're kind of like, you know, standing on those. So, but you know, for me, if I had the choice, like that, then it would probably be that.
Yeah.
But my favorite camera now, like just casually, is the Insta360. I love the camera. I love all their products. They're freaking amazing.
Big
so,
shout
like,
out to them.
It's just revolutionary, and like, I don't know, for me it just trips me out. So like,
it is dope.
It just gives you something just completely different than what you're used to. You know, it's like everybody's already tapped into like the cinematic, all this stuff. It's like I did that stuff 15 years ago. It's like so you know, the more you can kind of like come out of the box and just kind of like try new things.
Innovation is like at its low because everything is out already.
Yeah,
pretty much.
You know, it's like okay, what can you can get another K, but it's like what. Okay, 6K to 8K. It's like, who cares? Like, fuck, who cares?
Yeah, exactly.
I don't care. It's just bigger fucking files for my computer to crash with. Like, I don't care.
Do you already have issues with like working with raw files from like raw?
See, I don't do that, right?
You
so,
don't? Okay.
So I mean, this is my workflow. This is a special tip. I'll just tipsy tips.
Tipsy tips on the artist you drop. Let's go.
No, but for me, it doesn't matter what camera I shoot on. Whether I'm shooting on the Insta360, I'm shooting on a 60 A6000, or I'm shooting on the Red or the Alexa or anything in between. Blackmagic as well. I bring everything the night after I'm done shooting. I bring the hard drives home, dump it on my hard drive, whatever. Right, but I put it right into DaVinci. Right, so I put the files right into DaVinci, and then I export proxies at 1920 by 1080 at the lowest resolution. So like if it's for a Red, I'll go into the settings and I'll set it for like 1/18th or something, right? So like it's like kind of like blurry or whatever. Like I mean, but you know, it still looks great. And then I just make proxies that are 1920 by 1080, Apple ProRes proxies. Okay, so you know, this 50 gig or 200 gig fucking file that you just had goes down to like 50 megabytes. Right. And then I do all my editing like that, and then you know, send my cuts off, and once it gets locked, and then all I do is export my XML, bring it right into DaVinci, and then it just automatically reconnects it to all your files anyways. Right? And then you just color it, and then you just export it. And then it's like, it just...
Full resolution.
And I mean, for me, I like to go through every single shot. If you've noticed, if you look at my Instagram, I have like stacks of like 40 layers of takes and stuff. I've seen people edit before, and I've had some big name directors. I'm not gonna mention who they were, but like I've had them edit for me, and I got their project back, and I'm like, yo, this shit is trash. Like, did you watch all the footage? Like, no. Why would I do that? I'm like, whoa, my god, this is trash. The edit was trash. The project is trash. And I'm like, if this is the way people do it, this is just unfortunate. You know what I mean? Like, why shoot it? And that's always my motto. Like when it comes to that. So like. And having raw files or having these AK files, I mean, even if you have the fastest computer, yes, you might be able to scrub through it and maybe play it, right? But like to really get into it and then to have 40 stacks and be able to like move the way you want to move, like if my computer has to think or I have to stop what I'm doing to actually like wait, then I'm fucked. You know what I mean? 'Cause like I'm dropping filters. I'm thinking like, oh, I can do this. I'm just moving. So if I'm not able to do that, then there's no reason for me to be cutting. So, so like if you're bringing your raw files into your little laptop and you're dropping them into your fucking thing, and like and you have 8K and you're playing it back and it's and you're like, oh yeah, I like that little bit. But you need to watch the rest of the 9-minute clip, but it's like because you couldn't. It's like you're losing out. And so what I do is I drop it in DaVinci. I take a shower, go to bed, wake up, and all my files are done. I'm ready to edit. You know what I mean? I've done that for like 10 years.
No, that's dope. That is a great piece of advice, because I just recently started, learning more about proxies and working with proxies. Because right now I work for the Academy, the Oscars, and I work in the media production area.
Nice.
And so they send us huge ass files, and when I go in and need to edit certain things, they send us the raw files from like interviews and stuff like that. So that's where I had to go in and learn more about proxies and stuff like that. And proxies has definitely been life-saving, man.
Oh yeah, it's beneficial. I mean, and especially like I started getting things color corrected by like big post houses and stuff, and like they want the different files, and they don't even care about your project. They want your XML. So like it doesn't matter what you edit on. You can edit on fucking on the 720 by 480 if you want. It doesn't matter, because like they're just gonna take the actual like number, all this number shit, right? They're not gonna actually take the clips anyway. So, but even if you don't do it that way and you're doing it yourself, it's much easier to do it the way that I said than to like. And you're gonna be able to go through your footage. You're gonna be able to feel good about your project, as opposed to like being frustrated, your shit crashing, and then only being able to edit what you're able to play.
Facts.
Right? So
exactly.
I don't know. That's just the way I would recommend doing it.
That's a big tip.
Yeah, it's a good tip,
sure.
though. It's a good tip.
And people are like, oh, well, that's so much more work. But it's like, no, not really. Because if you count all the time that you're waiting for your shit to fucking process, your little things going, you're freezing, all the little things that's happening with your huge ass raw files, right? Then it's you're saving time, and it's much a smoother process. You can send off stuff, and unfortunately and fortunately, I've been editing, proxies, and sometimes like game or people will be like, yo, we gotta drop the shit tonight, and I'm like, yo, I gotta upres it and all stuff. Like, nah, let's just drop it. So like, some of the videos, even like people are like, yo, how do you get it so crispy? I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, yo, that's like a 1/18th proxy right there. Right?
That's like, crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah,
right?
that is crazy. Yeah.
But no one ever like it's insane that people like I don't know.
No, that's still a good advice for any editors out there that are just getting into it and working with raw files and
not
stuff
even getting
like
into it, because there's some old ass editors that I know that don't even in directors. I'm just going, what do
they
you
don't
guys
work with proxies.
No, I'm like, what are you guys doing?
You guys are supposed to know this.
No, I mean, because like it's not something you really it's not like something that's necessarily taught,
Yeah, that's true. That's true, and that's the same with me. I had no idea about proxies until working for the Academy and stuff like that, and them kind of running it through me. So I was like, okay. And then once I actually did it, I was like, okay, this is a lot smoother, a lot faster, and
then
stuff
you got like an editor.
So,
like if you don't want to edit as a director and you want to send your files off to an editor, you can go ahead and upload a terabyte, but like, or you can upload 112 gigs or fucking 27 gigs of the same footage, right? Like,
sure.
So it makes life fucking so much easier.
It does. Big tip right there, guys. All right, so when building your treatment and shot list for an artist, do you tend to listen to the song over and over and develop ideas, or do they just kind of come naturally? Because usually for me, when it comes to writing up a treatment or ideas for a song, I have to keep repeating the song.
Yeah.
How does it work for you?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's pretty much the normal process. I mean, for most people, and these people I've met as well, you just kind of play the song until you're familiarized with it, and I also do a lot of research on the brand, the artist, videos they've done before. Talk to them if I can, or talk to somebody on their side. Try to extract as much creative, information as I can. Maybe not. Maybe they're like, oh, we want you to do whatever with the video. Even when they say that, don't believe it, because they always have some sort of like vision, and they're basically just hoping, or they're just like basically just saying, okay, I wonder who's gonna like write what's in my mind, So like if you're able to like talk to them, you can probably extract a lot more information. Like, okay, well, how was the song created, or why was the song created, what we were going through, blah 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 blah, right? And they'll give you some of these like little nuggets and stuff, and then you take those, and don't just like, oh fuck it, fuck this, I always want to do this idea. No, take those and like base your shit off that, right? Because like I said, for me anyways, when I write treatments, or at least when I don't really write treatments anymore, but when I used to, like, I'm competing with 15, 20, 30 other directors, right? So like, and like I said, most of the time the artists and the management are just kind of like hoping that somebody's going to like write what they're thinking. So if you're able to like extract that and then write what they're thinking, you're going to get the job. So, you know what I mean?
Facts,
but I mean, listen to the song. I mean, what I do now is I go through a lot of, I kind of just have like a tone or a mood or a vibe like in my mind, and then I just I have like a hard drive of reference pictures that I have all organized into like, exterior, interior,
Yeah.
day, blah, blah, all this stuff, right? Cloud, all this, like, you know, all the cars, all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
And so I'll just go through that, like if I'm feeling like dark stuff or something, and
Yeah.
I'll just like go through the pictures, and then I'll start collecting some, putting like making a new folder, putting some images, because like really it's about imagery, to be
Yeah,
honest.
right,
At
right.
least
Facts.
No,
when you're
for sure.
selling the video idea. And now if you don't need to sell the idea because you already have, like, the job's yours, then it is a little bit different in terms of, like, you know, processes, I
Yeah.
guess, you know, because you're more concerned about the actual writing of like what the structure of the video is going to be. But yeah, I mean, it's just listen to the song over and over again, and then, which kind of sucks because then you got to listen to it on set and then you got to listen to it in post. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So,
right.
Over and over.
I mean,
over and over.
I know French songs. I don't know French at all, but I know
Yeah.
I did these videos for this French artist, and I know his songs by heart just because I've got the process. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I feel that. Yeah.
And that's always interesting. Writing treatments for different languages. That's always all.
Yeah.
I've done like 10 videos for.
Oh, that's dope.
different
Yeah.
Yeah, that's dope.
What advice would you give to like making your treatment stand out when it comes to like competing with other directors?
I have a treatment pack,
Yeah.
so they can go and get that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
Okay,
saying?
yeah.
You know, just tap in and get
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
You know,
Plug it in.
Yeah, I'll give you a special discount. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, I mean, really it's just about format and it's about imagery. To be honest, it's
Yeah.
about
Yeah.
imagery and just being able, but you also have to. You also have to pick the right images because sometimes the artist will fall in love with or the management will not even read your treatment, but they'll fall in love with an image, and maybe the image was only referencing the colored lights, and it wasn't referencing like the wardrobe or something like
Right,
that,
right.
right? And so then
Something
they're like,
small.
why isn't he wearing this or whatever? And then you're like, well, because that says whatever, right?
Yeah,
so you
right,
have to
right.
be very, very careful with that as well, because I've had, you know, some mishaps happen in terms of like miscommunications, you
Yeah.
know.
Right.
But yeah, it's all about imagery. I mean, my treatment started as like a page, and it's crazy because I have like treatments from like really big older directors for like
Right.
Blink 182, Britney Spears, J-Lo, all these like big name videos, like $1 million videos, and their
Right.
shit's just a paragraph.
Yeah,
That's
that's
literally,
crazy.
a
That's
paragraph,
crazy.
no pictures, no nothing, right?
That's crazy.
It's just like a paragraph
Yeah.
like that, you know. So and I mean, I guess like these are like Dave Meyer, like all these big directors. So maybe
Yeah.
like when you're David Fincher, like when you're like these type of people, maybe that's all you have to do. But I think like for most of us, it's just about, you know. But it's also about like I've made treatments where I had like really dope pictures, but like the actual like concept wasn't like 100% fleshed out, and so like that, you know, really just kind of determine what you want to do. You know what I mean?
Right, right.
And really try to bite off as little as you possibly can and execute it to the max, as opposed to like trying to tell the story or trying to do a lot and then not executing it very well.
Yeah.
That's something
Okay.
I learned as well. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? So like just tell one scene of that story, but tell that scene really, really well, and spend
yeah,
all
yeah.
your time with like
Yeah.
art and like whatever you can, as opposed to like telling this whole story. They wake up, they go, blah, 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 all this stuff,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Like it's gonna have much more of an impact than that watered down thing that
Yeah.
you're unable to like put the resources into.
Damn, that's
Great
dope.
advice,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's great advice. You know, when we first started shooting music videos, you know, we shot a lot of guerrilla style, of course, you know,
Yep.
coming up with concepts and on the fly. You know, over time, we've learned how essential pre-production is for a smooth shoot day.
Yep.
But no matter how much time and days and months we spend on this pre-production, there's always something that doesn't go according to plan. From your experience with working with these big celebrities with these bigger budgets, you know, is that the same as well, or you know?
Yeah, I mean, you know, like I said earlier, I mean, whether it's life or production or anything, I mean, things are always gonna go wrong. So that's just 100. Like
Yeah.
you always have to know that. So for me, people can say I'm a pessimist. I think of myself more of a realist, maybe even like a little bit of stoicism. But I wake up every day or go on set every day thinking that not everything's gonna go wrong, but it's gonna be hard. I don't think about it like, oh, it's just gonna be a great day. No, because then when you have one little wrinkle,
Right.
right? Then your whole vision of the day is messed up, as opposed to
right.
like
That's
me
true.
going like, man, it's gonna be a cloudy, rainy day. It's not gonna be like, oh, it's raining. No, it's gonna be tough. It's gonna be challenges. You're gonna have to get through it. Like, let's get ready to play the game, right? Like, and so then if it's much lighter than that, it's a dub.
Yeah.
Like it's
Right,
easy.
right.
Like
Yeah,
it was.
that's true.
I'm like I'm winning.
Yeah.
If it's as hard as I plan it to be, then I'm expecting that.
Right,
So
right.
like it's not like a Debbie Downer. Like there's nothing that I'm not prepared for.
Yeah.
Right.
Even if it's a pivot that I'm not prepared for, but it's still I knew I was gonna have to pivot. Right. Like I knew it was gonna be challenging.
Right.
So like if you go into all your your projects are into production, understanding that like things are not going to go as planned. Okay, like no matter how planned you are, you could be as planned out, you know, and the camera falls off on accident or whatever, right? Like there's so many things out of your control, and in your control that are just not going to go as planned. You know what I mean? So, you know, you have to just be prepared for that, as opposed to like, I guess, trying to like make everything as, you know, as like proof, you know, as like error proof as possible. Like that's just not. You should be more like
not realistic.
You should be more. You should be more thinking about alternatives to how to handle things when things go wrong. You know what I mean? So like, so and then for me, it was like really, I think editing really helped me with that, because a lot of times artists would come late, or we wouldn't get this like the story moment, or we wouldn't, and so I was able to always be able to like see it in my mind and pivot and say, okay, we don't need that. Let's get a 2-shot of this person, blah 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 blah, and then I was able to like take that sort of like mind frame and that thinking into like other things. Okay, lunch is gonna be late. Okay, let's do these 2 shots of whatever this crew can go, whatever it was. Like so it was always just a very light pivot. You know what I mean? Nothing ever like ruffled my feathers too much. But that was like going in with the expectation that my feathers were gonna be ruffled.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Exactly. And there's a difference between like life is gonna suck today, as opposed to like life's gonna be challenging, but we're gonna get through it. Let's go. Right.
Yeah,
like I said,
true.
if you prepare for rain but it doesn't rain, then you're in a great place.
Right.
Right.
Exactly.
But if you go out like it's a sunny day and it fucking pours all day, you're gonna be crying. Your whole life's done. Right. Like, you know, and that's the way a lot of people go out.
Right.
Like,
No, for
just
sure.
like in thinking in like in life and stuff. And so like I said, one little 5 minutes late in traffic, or there's, and it's like, yo, now your whole day's ruined, and you're like mad at somebody else, and that person maybe, I don't know, mom just died, and then you're over here mad at them because like you thought your day was supposed to go perfect, and it's just like, it's not a good way to think about things, because it's never gonna go as planned, ever. Ever. Like, when has it ever gone like exactly how you thought?
Exactly.
Never.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So to think that tomorrow's going to be the day is just not realistic.
No, that is facts. That is facts.
And you're setting yourself up for failure. One thing as a director and like a producer, one thing that I try to do, and I really pride myself on, is always setting myself, and more so my team, up for success, right? I always tell them it'll be maybe 2 hours longer than I think it'll be, or than I know it has to be, right? So like if it's gonna be a 10-hour day, I tell them it's gonna be 12 hours. So then when they get off in 10, they're like, thank you, whatever. You know what I mean? So it's always success, right? It's always we're always winning, right? Like, dang, you guys did a great job. We got off in 10. It was gonna be 12, but since you guys did such a great job, it was only 10. And now they're like, oh yeah, right? But I mean, but in my mind, it was always gonna be 10. But I just told them 12 so that they could, whatever, right? So like, always setting up, yourself for success, and the way you do that is just by preparing for things that are going to go awry. You know what I mean? So you're never gonna, big budget, small budget, no budget, all the budget. It doesn't matter. It's all something's gonna go not as planned.
Dropping that knowledge, man.
We gotta get some claps. We gotta get, man. You dropping some knowledge right there. That's a lot of good tips. You've been fortunate enough to direct and shoot for some of the biggest names like Chris Brown, Justin Bieber, Far East Movement, French Montana, Tyga, Wiz Khalifa, Tyrese, Lil Wayne, Snoop Dogg, and The Game, just to name a few. Like, has there ever been a time where you were like, damn, like, this is crazy, I'm actually shooting for these big, artists and celebrities and stuff like that?
I mean, I think there was one time my grandma texted me, and then I looked at my phone, and it was like Exhibit, Game, Kendrick, and I don't remember who else. Like, there was a couple other names that had just texted me right before that, and I was like, damn. I took a still. I remember taking like a freeze frame, and I was like, man, it's crazy, because like 5 years ago, 10 years ago, who would have thought like all these people, no one would have known these people would have been, some of the people would have been big, but like The Game, Exhibit, these people had already been out. So like the fact that I was, in the circle was, it's, it definitely like trips you out. But at the same time, it's like, I think one part that helps you when you're in this, when you're working with these people, is that, I just treat them no different than I treat
regular person.
Yeah. You know what I mean? So like, and sometimes even, not like I treat them less than that, but it's more so like, yo, get over there, let's go, bro. Like, let's go. And and they actually respect that. Like, instead of like, excuse me. They're like, what are you doing, right? Because that's how everybody talks to them and stuff. So like, the one person's like, yo, come on, let's go. This is your video, bro. You want to do this or what? Like, you know, they're like, all right, man, whatever, you know. But so like, you know, definitely trips me out. I'm very grateful and thankful that I've had all the opportunities to work with the great talent that I've you know, that I've been blessed to shoot their videos and stuff, and it's been an amazing ride, an amazing experience with all of them. You know, each of them different, but each of them very special in their own way. So
how was your experiences like working with them? Were there any issues on set and stuff like that?
Not, I mean, like I said, I mean, most of the stuff's gonna be on production side, like the light, but this, that, or you know, like. The game celebration video, Wayne didn't show up for 3 days, or one of the days we got kicked out of the park that we were shooting the barbecue at because a couple of guys had guns and stuff. So like your whole shit gets shut down, right? Like so, you know. But as far as like the artists, not. I mean, they're always. I mean, you gotta remember these guys are professionals. The guys and girls they're all professionals, right? Like this is what they do for a living. I mean, sometimes it's surprising when they don't show up to their own shit, or they show up like 8 hours late to their own shoot. Right. But like, you know, because that money they never really see anyways. The label, you know, disperses it and stuff like that, so they don't really know. And some, like, you know, they're stars, so like, you know, so it is what it is. But I mean, you know, nothing. I mean, I've had great experiences. You know, like I met Common and Nas, and Common took me in the back. He's like, let's pray, and you know, that was very interesting and very, you know, it was cool. I thought it was you know, it was something different, and I felt very like he genuinely cared about, you know, about me and about the production stuff like that. So that was cool.
That is dope.
But yeah, I mean, you know, it's been fun.
Yeah, that's dope. So although you've worked with so many big people, is there any new artists that you hope to work with and to shoot video for?
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple guys, you know, like, you know, I was managing an artist for a while, Christian Gates on he was a TikTok kid, so like, and you know, I shot his stuff, and there's like, you know, I'm a TikTok tapped in every so often, and there's some kids on there that, you know, who are very unique and I guess like they allow like a big canvas for, you know, like a director like myself to be. You know, as opposed to like an artist who maybe is already established, who already kind of has like a lane and a smaller canvas because they're not going to really go outside the box, right? So like, so that's always fun. I mean, as far as like name wise, I mean, I'm not going to give them all the shout outs right now, but not until they call me. But like, I mean, I would love to shoot for like Ed Sheeran for sure. You know, like, and I listen to like more like singing, like R&B and all that stuff too.
Same,
so like, you know, like Caleb Scott, I'm going to his concert tonight. He was like on UK's Voice or like American Idol, but for like I don't even know exactly where, but he sings like piano songs.
Okay,
you know what I mean? So like I do like a lot of that stuff. There's a new kid, Camilio. I'm shooting his video. I found him on TikTok as well. And he's freaking amazing. He's like a Sam Smith. It's like a Sam Smith-ish, right? Like Sam Smith, like that type of vibe, but like just humongous sounds. You know what I mean? So I definitely like I guess more pop and stuff like that. But like rap is like so fun to shoot. So and it's so like fast and obviously very but yeah, I don't know, there's so many rappers out right now, like
there is there is
you know, whoever hollers, then I'm down.
I agree too. Like I really love, before, you know, in Seattle when I was just starting to shoot music videos, I really loved the whole rap thing and stuff like that, but you know, I feel like R&B and singing has always just been that sound. And
let's hear something.
hey, you know, I can't sing. I can't sing. No, but you know, like for me, I've always, you know, been a fan of R&B and singing and stuff. MJ, you know, Michael Jackson has been, you know, big inspiration to me and stuff like
you got
that.
Some dance moves then?
Yeah. Oh,
he does.
I'm the dancer, but
he does. Not me. But no, like I said, like I feel like rap music videos, it definitely is more faster paced, but I feel like I have more fun shooting like singers and stuff like that. I have
more fun shooting rappers, but I do enjoy the other. You know, I just want to be. Yeah, I just want to have some versatility. I mean, I've shot like rock. I've shot you know, pop. I've shot R&B. I shot, you know, so I've shot a wide variety. But like you know, so I guess what I gravitate to now is just like that big sound.
Yeah.
And, I don't even know if the videos would be fun to shoot, to be honest, but I just like listening to that type of stuff.
Right.
So
I guess you won't really know until you get on set and shoot.
yeah. I mean, luckily, like this kid Camellia, he has like a very like, you know, we kind of agree on like this dark, like almost like horror-ish vibe. So like that fits up my alley. Like, you know, so that's always great. So
I'm excited to see what you produce.
Yeah,
with
it's
that.
different too.
yeah,
That's
for
dope.
sure. Me
Yeah.
too. I'm definitely excited. Make sure you go check him out.
Hey,
Yeah, we'll
let's
do.
go.
And ladies, check me out.
Ooh, check him out.
On Tinder, Bumble, Raya, swipe right.
Everything.
We gotta get mad a girl, guys.
come on.
I mean, I've had girls, you know what I'm saying? I'm just letting them know.
Yeah, available.
Facts.
Yeah, so going into your directing, people don't really realize like how stressful it is to be a director, especially on the day of the shoot. And
Yeah.
oftentimes some directors, like you see them yelling at people, you know, to get things in
I used to
order.
do that, for
yeah.
sure.
But a lot of like behind the scenes videos, you know, of you're always like having a good time, dancing, having fun on set. What is your mindset like on the day of the shoot, and how do you stay cool under pressure?
I mean, under pressure is where I come to life, you know what I mean? Like that's
Right.
anytime I want the ball in the fourth quarter, because like that's when I'm at my calmest. That's when like everything's just quiet and like I'm just you know, I'm very tapped in, I'm very focused, and I'm able to like channel all my energy into like not making the right choice, but making the best choice for the collective to get to where it needs to go. So like I enjoy those times, and like that's like I said, that's when I almost feel like I'm at the least pressure when the most pressure's on, right? Like, and that's when I'm able to like, you know, just enjoy myself. But I've also like, I've been the micromanager when I first started, where I was doing everybody's jobs, and that was not pleasant. No one wanted to be around me, right? So, you know, I lost friends, and and so I had to I had to learn from all these experiences. And then I got to a point where I'm like, you know, I'm on set creating something with a group of my friends, working with people who people would love to actually, you know, to even smell a fart of these people, right? And, you know, and so like I have to be in the moment, and I have to like, you know, just be aware and be appreciative of like what I'm doing. And I'm just a fun person. Like I just enjoy life, you know what I mean? And so, you know, and then you have your friends there, and you're just, you know, most of the time you're just waiting around anyway, so you're like, right? You know what I mean? But I used to be like, oh shit, what are we doing? But it's like, okay, I could do that, or I could just be like, and it's the same thing's gonna happen. Like when the person's ready to shoot, we're gonna say shoot. So I'm going to be stressed out and all this stuff, and missing this time that I can enjoy, you know, with my friends, or just in the scene or whatever, right? So I learned that that's the better of the two.
Yeah, no, that is dope. You know, we've been shooting music videos for a few years now, and you know, we built this great chemistry together and really bounce off and fuel each other's creativity. You know, one day our dream is to build a film crew together and create a production company. When it comes to sets that you're on, do you usually work with like the same people, or is it always like new people getting hired on?
Oh, no, it's not always new people. You try to work with the same people, or you try to like at least develop, you know, I think you do work with new people. Like people get introduced, like, oh, your DP can't do it, but they have a fill-in, so like and they vouch for them, so then they come in, or somebody else brings somebody in, or the artist brings, hey, I want you to use this deep whatever, right? And so then if you vibe with that person, then you keep them around, right? Or if they're really good at a specific genre, a specific budget range or whatever, right? Then you have like different tiers of people, and you have different, you know, styles that fit different things, you know. But like you don't just try to like, you try to stick with the same circle, right? Like, you know, or you give like a gaffer an opportunity to DP, or like, you know, things like that. So you try to stick with relatively the same faces. And once you like them and they like you, and you're able to like work together well, like you don't try to force something that just wasn't a good experience. Like you don't really try to, you know, try that again.
Exactly.
But yeah, no, we don't, you know, we try to keep everything relatively, you know, the same.
Exactly. Same thing as us. So.
Exactly.
You know, I kind of want to touch on like stabilization, gimbal, steady cams. I feel like there's a big debate on, you know, what you should use, because a lot of people nowadays, they just go to gimbals. And for me, you know, I've had my time with gimbals, but I feel like gimbals just produce like images that are just too smooth. It doesn't have like a natural look versus like steady cams and stuff. What is your take on like the two?
I don't care.
You don't care?
No, I don't care. Like, I mean, you know, I love handheld as well, right?
Yeah, I love handheld too.
A lot of times I'll do handheld that looks like gimbal. So like I you know, for me, it's whatever. I'm more about budget, right? Because how different from a story standpoint is a gimbal from a Steadicam. Sometimes you have to use one or the other, right? But like, you know, rarely have I found times that are like very, like it has to be a Steadicam because essentially they can. I mean, yes, there's gonna be little nuances, but if you're gonna get that granular with these nuances, like. It better be so beneficial to your story that you're able to do that, because if not, there's a ton of other things that you're neglecting because you want to be so like, well, you see that one bump, you see that, like
that is true though.
You better be so tightened up with all the other shit that you have to do, right? And your story better be fucking perfect, right? You're directing and you're all that stuff better be on. I mean. Right, because if you're that granular about these sort of things, then I would expect all the other shit's taken care of, which I don't think it is, right? So I think like the focus has to go somewhere else, and most of the time for me, I don't care. Like I just like what can we afford?
Yeah,
right,
exactly.
And then if I'm shooting myself, like I like gimbals here and there, but like I ain't trying to fly that shit for like ever, right? Like I mean I fly it sometimes, whatever, but like. I'm going handheld. Like I don't even care, especially if I'm running and gunning. Like because then I can do all kinds of stuff. Because you're kind of limited really with both. I mean, I had one of the best Steadicam guys for like my first 5 years. Steadicam Jew. He won ARI. He's won award like movies. All he does is movies now. And he wins like academies and Oscars and all this shit. I don't even know the actual awards, but like, I don't know which one's music and I don't know whatever, right? But but like he's and we had him and like we were I was kind of spoiled, but like. I remember the first time we could do 360s and stuff like that. But like nowadays, you can do that on anything. You know what I mean? And so I don't know. For me, it's just like whatever fits the budget, and whatever's. I can, if we just have certain, or like the camera comes with a certain thing, or like that person says, "Oh, I have this." Rarely does a camera like, "Oh, you have a red, or you have a Blackmagic." Yeah, I have a Blackmagic, and I have a Steadicam rig, and I have a da-da-da rig. No, most times like they have one or the other, or the AC has one, or he has a follow whatever, right? And that only goes on this rig or whatever. So it's like it's kind of already, like I said, very, very, very. Actually, never can I remember a time where we had to like rearrange the budget for a specific. Equipment for one of those two, right? Deciding which one based on how impactful it was going to be to the overall video,
right?
Yeah. So I mean, I know Steadicams are hell of expensive now. I don't know.
They are.
So like, and they're super dope at what they do. You know what I mean? And like, if I have a Steadicam, I have a gimbal op that he has a full like case. Like he's like a NASCAR. Without the car. Yeah. But like, I'm like, yo, you're not taking that shit off, bro. I paid you that much money to keep that thing on, bro.
Exactly. No, it's great hearing your take on it, because everybody has some kind of debate or.
But like I said, if you're debating that, you better have all your shit buttoned up. Like your edits better be the best edits. Your fucking concepts better be the best, unless you're like a Steadicam op or whatever. But like if you're a Steadicam op and you're trying to show me why Steadicam is a better option and stuff like that, just show me your work. You don't need to tell me like show me the differences or whatever like that. Just show me your reel or whatever, and your reel better be lit. But like if you're wasting your time having a debate. I don't know what to tell you. Go get a girlfriend. Go
get a girlfriend. Facts. Okay, when it comes to music videos that I usually do, I usually try to stick with locations that would make sense for the video at least. I've seen so many YouTube music videos out there that have so many random like locations, such as like being next to garbage cans and railroad tracks and all this other
railroad
shit.
Tracks
like,
is pretty like. It's pretty. I think
overused.
It's like I've had like 5 or 6 of those in my early career. So I think
even I was shooting all those too.
Like it is like a graveyard, a railroad
Everybody
track.
starts there.
I haven't done that one, but that might be dope. So, but like I feel like for me, like I got to a point, because like he mentioned, we were doing a lot of guerrilla, so it was just a lot of random places. But now doing a lot more pre-production, I really try to look for locations that match the song, or that would kind of fit it at least. So for you, when it comes to locations, like how do you scout your locations, and what how do you go on what would make sense for the video?
Most of the time I ask the artist like I mean, everything's based around the budget, right? Because at the end of the day, like you still got to make some money, you still got to live, right? So, if it's a $10,000 or $5,000 video, right? I'm more concerned about like what location can we get that's decent for this amount of money, like for $1,000 or $500. Like I'm not gonna write an idea that's like, like just think about like the song and then think about like, this is what you're in a spaceship and then you're fucking in outer space. Like, no, because some people do that, and then you budget that out. It's like fucking $500,000, right? It's like what you wasted all this time, right? So for me, most of the time, what I'll do, especially anything under like 30, 40, 50,000, I'm just like, all right, let's find a location first, and then I write a treatment around the location.
Exactly.
Because that to me, like, I can afford this location, or one of my friends owns it or whatever, and maybe it's not like exactly what the song, like, I don't know, maybe I wanted a spaceship and it's a railroad track or whatever. But it's affordable, right? So then I'm like, okay, you're laying on the railroad track and like we're gonna do it slow motion in reverse, and like we're gonna make it look like it's the train POV, right? Like, and you're about to die, right? And or something like. So then we write it. I'll write it so that it's unique and whatever, but I can afford to do it, right? And still make a little bit of money. So
no, that's true.
Yeah, and like sometimes when it comes to treatments, sometimes the artists have a bigger imagination,
like a big one,
than what they can afford. Right. So we run to that a lot.
The worst is when they show you something and it's like you're just I mean, I just don't even. And then I've realized too that there was times early in my career, even later in my career, where I'd be like, yeah, let's do this or whatever, and you pretty much know early on, like, you can vet them. Like, if you say like, hey, I need to know what's your budget, send me the song, and do you have any creative ideas? Most of the time, the people who are gonna have these big outlandish, they're gonna be like, bro, what's your budget? Tell me your shit. And like, if they can't, if that's their response to you asking them what's their budget, it's done. Don't even bother. Don't even bother, because that person's gonna be a micromanager, and they're gonna be like, hey, Tom down the fucking block can do it for $5 or whatever. Like, that's the type of person that's already showing you. Because even if the person has $5 and they're still like, they're respectful of you in the process, when you ask them what's your budget, send me the song, they're going to send you the song, they're going to say $15 budget, and they're going to say you the creative idea or whatever, right? But that person's like respectful of like your That's time and everything. And if it's anything other than that, don't even I wouldn't explore it further. Or explore further knowing that it's going to be that sort of client that's gonna be like, bro, I want to be in a Maybach and a this and a that, and he's like, yo, you got $200, bro. We can't even. Do you have a Maybach? Because we'll shoot you in a Maybach. No, I gave you guys the budget. It's like, bro, there's not a budget.
Facts. So one thing I was really curious on, because you had mentioned it in a previous interview, is you shoot pretty much everything in slow mo. When you said that, do you also shoot like your performance shots and all that?
I mean, not so much anymore. I would say like 50%, 60%, and then a lot of times what I do now is like crank the shutter. So like I'll do like shots that are very like Saving Private Ryan crazy, right? And then I'll use like a diopter with those too. But I like to have a wide variety of like frame rates and a wide variety of shutter speeds, so that I can go back and kind of like dictate where I want more energy or less energy, right? I notice a lot of people are really scared to like move their camera or like do anything. It's like, yo, 24p 1/60, fucking whatever, and it's like well, because they're so scared. I'm like, yo, you have like 27 shots like that. Like, we'll do camera shakes and post. I'm like, that shit looks whack in post,
no, and like for me, like how I've usually been shooting is, I'll shoot performance shots in 24, and then I'll shoot all my B-rolls and everything, and like, well, I use Blackmagic at 4K and 72, so I'll usually max out at around 72. So at one point, were you pretty much shooting even performance shots?
I shoot my performances now. Like I'll shoot like multiple. Like, you gotta remember, so like every scene that I do, right? So like if I do a scene right here, right? I'm shooting you perform, right? I'm shooting 3 lenses, maybe 3 or 4 lenses right here. So I'm doing like maybe a fisheye or 10 millimeter, 20 millimeter, 50 millimeter, 85 millimeter, something like that, right? And then each of those lenses, I'm doing 3 or 4 takes. So this one performance, I'm walking away with like 12 takes.
Damn, that's
okay. And so like, I would say half of those are at 60 frames or maybe 120, right? And obviously this is like a little different because there's not much motion here, but like things that are like, whether it's on a gimbal or Steadicam, things that have like big motion, I'm gonna, whether performing, I'm gonna shoot, I would say majority of them in slow motion as well. The only ones I won't would be like the really high shutter speeds, the one like 1/5000, right? So the camera's just fucking cranking, right? Exactly. So I can intercut that with like the 1/60, so like I can have that 1/60, and then it hits a snare, and then it's like, right? Whatever, right? But but I'll do that so that I can time ramp the performances so they can be like this, and maybe they do a spin, and then
Yeah.
so like they're performing, and then
that's
as they do that spin, it goes to the slow motion.
Yeah.
You know, like you're unable to do that obviously if you don't shoot in that
Yeah,
your
right,
performances
right.
like
Yeah,
that. So it's I just gauge it. Now if I'm just shooting like a a tight shot on a black background, I'm gonna shoot in 24 because there's nothing I'm gonna
Yeah,
fucking
yeah,
use,
exactly.
right?
Yeah.
So I mean, it just depends on like you know just kind of having a vision of later. But I think I've realized anything that has like big motion, if it's performance, just shoot it in 60 or at least 60 or 48, so that you have the opportunity to time ramp those like big moves. And then if you have your operator, or if you're opping, do it faster so that when you do ramp it, that move still feels big, you know, like stuff like that.
No,
so.
that's some awesome tips. Definitely is gonna. I'm gonna have to utilize some of that, you know, into my future work and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah,
If you
for sure.
guys try it, then just send it to me at Matt Alonso.
Hey,
And we'll check it out.
we're gonna
Yes,
have
sir.
to do that. You know, your first big music video you shot was "Set It Off" by Cardinal Official and Clips. Looking back at that video and your work today, it's so crazy seeing your progression and everything. Do you ever look back at your old work and see how far you've come?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think sometimes I look back at my work and go, how the fuck did I do that? Because like, this shit's dope as fuck.
No, dope.
But, you know, of course. I mean, I think, you know, I don't know. I mean, I'm always looking forward to what's next. But I mean, I definitely admire my work, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Especially because I don't admire it so much when I'm in the trenches. I just I don't think it's like that great because like I said, I have some of that perfectionist, complex in my mind. Like it could always be better.
Right.
So like it takes me a little while, like a couple breaths or a couple projects to be able to look back and say, yeah, that was actually, that was dope, bro.
Yeah.
Like
Right.
whatever. Right. So yeah, I mean, and I, whether sometimes I feel like I've progressed, sometimes I feel like I've regressed depending on but every project
Right.
has needed a different side of me to come out, whether it was in directing or editing. So like I think every project has its own its own place in terms of like the evolution of me. And then I think just me being able to play these different roles or adapt to these different melodies or songs or genres is growth in itself. So
No, it is, for sure.
Yeah, that's dope. Your resume of music videos is crazy, and it just keeps pretty much growing. Is there any music video that you've shot and directed that's been your favorite to this date,
Yeah, I mean,
or all of them?
Yeah, I mean, all like I said, all of them have different, different aspects that were, that are my favorite. I think just, I mean, I don't know. I mean, like I've had favorite experiences. I've had, favorite results, favorite, everything. But I think. Just like I said, being able to be flexible overall is kind of like my favorite thing, because there was a time where I wasn't that, you know what I mean, and I was very like, this is my style, this is who I am, and stuff like that. So just being able to adapt, I think is my favorite, you know. So
no, that's dope. Yeah. So I see that you're now the creative producer for FaZe Clan.
Yep.
Was it difficult to go from working with artists who perform or who perform for a living, and now into this new era of esports where people might be shy or awkward, like off and on camera?
Yeah, I mean, it's just a whole different world. I mean, it's you're trading one thing for the other. Like for music videos, it's just not, there's not financially, it's not the best place to be, right? Like
because it's not really stable. You're working.
It's not stable, and like these budgets are not that big. Even like you gotta remember, like even if you're getting $250,000 for a video, right? Like
right.
As a director, you maybe 10%, right? Now you're obviously, especially if you're younger, you're not running the production. You're having somebody come in and do the production, right? So you're getting your $25,000 or $10,000 or whatever it is, and the rest of the money you don't even see. The money's going into the video, right? Like getting everything, the people, the makeup, the trailers, closing the streets down, the cops, like all this, the food, the catering, overtime, all this stuff. Like so, like you're not really, and say you do one video, like okay, $25,000, that's a lot of money. Like yeah, it is, but like maybe you don't. And then the next month you write, and you're writing all these treatments, and you're not getting any videos. So like a couple months go by, that money's gone. You know what I'm saying? And that's on a big budget video. Most of the time, like your budgets are not going to be that. They're going to be like $50,000. You know what I mean? $30,000. On $30,000 video, as a director, you're getting $3,000, right? And that video is going to take you a month.
Right.
So $3,000 a month. You know what I mean? It's just. It's not that much to sustain a life, a living, right?
Yeah.
You're kind of always chasing and stuff like that. So so stepping into like the esports side, like the amount of money there is just it's for me, it was surprising and like it's still kind of like shocking. I'm still kind of getting used to adapting, because now it's like all this brand integration, and that's where I primarily work. You know, with FaZe Clan is like I'm like pretty much like, you know, the head of the branded content. So like I do all the stuff that, you know, we have these huge sponsorships with you know, these companies who come in and say, hey, we want to give you X amount of dollars for a year of partnering, and you know, we want to do X amount of events, which I don't, you know, get into any of the other aspects of the deal. Like we'll do these events and we'll do these activations, and maybe like during the esports, like the actual tournaments, they're wearing whatever, right? So like there's a whole, you know, other component that comes into the contract. But then the part that comes on my desk is like, we have 15 branded deliverables that we need, pieces of content that we need to deliver, right? And so then we create these things with the brands, and that's actually the fun part, is like figuring out how this brand and FaZe Clan are able to like come together and still kind of keep each other's autonomy, as well as like make them fit together in a way that's going to like not feel forced to the audience. You know what I mean?
Right.
Now the talent, it's yeah, I mean it's different, you know, and but what I try to do is not have them act. So I try to create content that they're able to just be themselves, and like their reactions and things like that are able to come naturally. It's less about like your equipment and all that stuff, because a lot of times what sells and what like resonates to the audience is like not the high production quality, because like the more high production, like the more fake it seems to like the casual person who watches these guys. So yeah, I mean to be honest, it's like you know, music videos were so easy for me. Like it just became like you know, I was spinning my wheels. I wasn't, you know, I never felt nervous. It never felt like, you know, like, oh shit, like the first day of school, I never like ironed my clothes like the day before. Like I did that like in my first couple videos, right? But then like I you know, so I knew I was like I wasn't stepping out of the box. So like this is a whole new experience for me, and so, you know, it's like very challenging, and it's, you know, it's fun. Like I'm growing. So you know what I mean?
No, I definitely appreciate you, you know, speaking on that, because a lot of, you know, new people trying to get into the music video business think, you know, there's a lot of money there.
Oh, there's no money.
Yeah,
There's
see,
no money.
so, you know, that definitely, I think, helps and gives tips to, you know, future filmmakers.
Music videos are meant for you know, publicity, really. It's a stepping stone. Like, so, you know, early on in my career, like, you know, I was signed to ICM as a feature film director, and my agent discovered me through my music videos. You know what I mean? He saw like Far East Movie Flag at G6, then he saw some of my other stuff, and he's like, yo, we got to get this kid a movie. So, and that's what I always knew it was going to be. I mean, you know, you kind of get stuck there for a while, and I did anyways, you know. And because, you know, I mean, yes, if you position yourself as like one of the top dogs, which you still have to take 10 years or 15, you know, 5 years, 10 years to get to that point. 5 years, let's just say 5 years. So 5 years of like really roughing it out to get there, right? And then when you get there, you have to have a team that's in place. You're still not making millions of dollars, right? Like you might make $100,000 or whatever. Like once all the money comes in, like, yeah, you might do multiple $1 million in business, but that money's going in and out, right? Like that's not like, it's just money going through your business. It's not actually like, you know, being put into your pocket, right? So even with that though, it's like, you know, you still have to have so many pieces in place to be able to do that, right? So yeah, there's not a ton of money there, and like especially for, you know, I guess it's surprising to most people, right? Because like you know, French Montana, Diddy, MGK, $5,000, right? Like that was the budget, right? Like so, and so it's like almost sometimes even the bigger artists have less money, which is you know, surprising.
It is, yeah.
And then if you're doing things with them individually, like away from the label, they have a mixtape or whatever. I mean, you know, good luck. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Good luck. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
So I mean, it's good money if you have other income coming in. It's really hard when you're trying to live past like the 10 toes down part of your life.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No, I think that's key, like you mentioned, especially, you know, since you've been in the game for so long, that you know, not only is there a lot of money, especially working with these bigger celebrities and these bigger budgets into your pocket, but also like, you know, we also work with people who are like verified and celebrities and stuff like that, and a lot of times that we think that they had big budgets and they really don't.
No.
So at the end of the day, you know, how much you pocket and the longevity of it all, you know, it's
just about using that, like I said, using that to go somewhere else, like right. So but I mean, if you want to make money in the, like there's people who have, like, you know what I mean, there's people who do make money, like, you know, Colin and all, you know, a bunch of my friends who are established, you know what I mean, but like it takes a business mindset, not an artist mindset.
Right.
So I do have to say that, right? I'm an artist. Like I don't really know about the business very well. Like I don't. That's why I've always had business partners, or and I learned like about producing and like putting money away for myself, doing all this stuff, right? Like so even on a $5,000 job, after 15 years in the industry, I'm able to like call and pull favors and maybe I paid a location more last time, so I'm able to use it for cheap and I'm able to actually make some money. But like that comes with so much time and stuff like that. But there is people who have and who do make money, but there are more of like they're more turnovers. They're not thinking about the artistry of the music video. Maybe they'll have somebody on their roster who does, but you have to have that business head who's thinking X's and O's and not thinking about like, well, the blue light, we should spend an extra fucking 10 grand on this light. You know what I mean? Like they're gonna tell you no, right? But that's gonna, your rent's paid that month, right? Because they said no on that light, right? As opposed to like the artist, the artist side of the filmmaker who's like, well, we'll spend the $10,000 on that light and then be fucked for rent. You know what I mean? So you have to have that sort of like either business mind or business-minded person to basically get you there. Because I don't want to say there is no, like, there's absolutely no money. There is, right? You can be successful, but it takes a long time. And like I said, you can't just be an artist. That's for sure.
Yeah, that's dope. So moving away from the film industry, I noticed you enjoy boxing on your off time.
Oh yeah.
Is that something? Is that something you've always done for fun, have you ever thought about doing it professionally or like getting in the ring?
I'm 37. I ain't no. I mean, I did. They asked me to do a celebrity fight, but I was I've never been in a fight in my life. Okay. I've never boxed. I've never been in a street fight. I've never been punched. I've never been slapped. I'm like, I'm way too pretty for all that. But I just started, like, I actually was shooting at this location like many years ago, and I walked past and I saw these people hitting on a bag. I shot a YG video there actually, and I think we were scouting for that video or something. And I saw my AD. Shout out to Angel, and I saw my AD there, and he was boxing. I'm like, what are you doing here? He's like, bro, I box, whatever. So then I came back the next day, and then that was like I said, I don't know, 9 years ago, and after that it was just it's just something good to do, and just I don't know, outside of editing and stuff, like just
good for like mental health too.
Well, absolutely,
fitness and all that. Too.
No, it's just fun, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, and I'm obsessed with the sport of boxing. Like I love boxing, like not so much like me boxing, but so like if there's ever been a time where I've ever been starstruck, is like meeting boxers, not necessarily like meeting artists, which is very interesting.
Yeah, I saw you were at the Jake Paul fight too. Oh yeah. How was that then?
Yeah, it was fun. I was actually supposed to go this weekend, but it got
it got canceled.
Yeah, I was gonna go with Temper too, and then Blueface, beat up his girl or not beat up his, but like like she beat up him. I'm like, but whatever. So he got kicked off the card. So Jake might even step in and fight on the main card. So I'm just waiting for Temper, because Temper's FaZe clan. So I'm just waiting for Temper to get his because like we had just written out the treatment for the Temper fight, and like the whole like what we were gonna so I was getting ready to go like to London or whatever, right? To London, right? Yeah. So I was ready to go, and then I woke up to Blueface, and I'm like, fuck. So now they don't have an opponent, so we haven't got we haven't got that like figured out as far as like brand, like creatively. So but Jake Paul might hop on that card, so that's very interesting.
That might be dope.
That'd be big. So one thing I've noticed about you, which I don't think a lot of people give you credit for, is just how humble and chill you are. Even being with us here today in the beginning stages of the Artistry Drop, we don't have a lot of followers or clout or anything. We're honored to have you here on the podcast,
bro. It, bro.
And on your YouTube, you have so many tutorials giving advice to upcoming filmmakers, and you're always down to share knowledge in an interview. Which you don't normally see people at your level into the industry. What made you want to give back to like the next generation?
I've always wanted to do that. Like I said, my parents had me at a very young age, so my parents were very active in my life, like chaperoning prom and like whatever. Like my dad coached me my whole life. My mom, was very, like I said, very, very active. So I wanted to be a parent pretty early in my life. Unfortunately, like the career path I took just didn't align with that other vision. Just because of like how much time you got. It just it just didn't really align with that. But I've always been very like I always loved to teach. I always loved to like give back, and I think there was a time, and I think a lot of people you know, either don't have the time for it, unfortunately. Like right now, like I wish I could make tutorials all the time. If I had somebody who could come over and like film, I would pay them to be like, all right, let's make a tutorial about this, and I would be able to do it.
Right.
But I just don't have the time to like do that and do me and then like edit it and all this shit. I'm just like, fuck,
Right.
I wish I could. Like I really
Yeah.
wish I could. But yeah, it's always been really big for me. But I think a lot of people get nervous, I think, to give back or like to give their tricks away because like they think, you know,
Competition
or whatever, right?
yeah.
Yeah, you know what I mean. But like I've realized, like, okay, like that I don't know. I don't really have anything to worry about, and if they do, great. Like you know, I only wish the best for everybody. You know what I mean? Even if it means taking my job, just means I gotta step my game up. You
Yeah.
know.
Right.
So but like you know, I like, and when I was coming up in the industry, I worked at that job where I had nobody above me, right? And then I
Right.
went to Ski TV, and I was the top guy there. You know what I mean? I left Ski TV, and I was with. I was with Nabil and those guys, but they were doing their own thing, so I really had no one to learn from. So I've always wanted a mentor. I wanted somebody to teach me some things, you know, and not having that, I think, was like, you know, motivation to like be that for somebody else if ever I got the opportunity. And
Yeah.
and then just having one of my friends have a big YouTube channel, Olufemi Tutorials. Like he was like, yo, Matt, let's do these. And I was like, all right, cool. So he'd come over and shoot them with me. And like
Yeah.
those ones got, you know, whatever, however many views. And so
Right.
those ones really were like they were the ones that like really catapulted like the whole, like actually doing it.
Right.
And then, you know, Aperture, you know, doing the masterclass with Aperture and then doing the film league. So
Right.
like, you know, I'm always down to give back, and I'm always like, just, you know, I think it's just part of the evolution of not even like a filmmaker, just like humankind. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
That's dope, bro.
Yeah, no, all of
appreciate
us
you.
filmmakers appreciate you,
Yeah,
you know,
so-
giving back to us and giving us tips and stuff. So,
and I keep it real. Like
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
don't
you
I don't
do.
really like sugarcoat too much or like whatever. Like
Yeah.
even if it's like nah, I was down bad there, but whatever. Like I
exactly.
just keep it like 100
Yeah.
because like there's I don't know. It's
Yeah.
I just think like some people have a certain perception or they try to
Yeah.
keep a certain perception, which
They
is
do.
just it hurts people more
Especially
than it
like
helps.
people in the industry, you know, they have that certain type of ego. They met certain type of people. They make certain type of money. You know, they hold themselves.
It's all
you know,
irrelevant
up
to me.
there.
I mean,
Yeah,
I've seen, well, the
exactly.
thing is, like, once you see so many people who have a lot of money miserable, like,
Yeah, right.
you know, I mean, for me, we didn't have a lot of money growing up, right? So, like, family was everything, and maybe family was everything by default because if my parents made it stressful because we didn't have money, maybe the you know, our lives would have been a lot different, right? But so
right.
so it was more about like family, for, you know, over money and stuff like that. So you know, I've always been that sort of like just like enjoy the experience as opposed to like how much money you make, right? Because I've seen
Exactly.
really rich people just not enjoy life, and like
Yeah.
that just went to, and I've seen rich people enjoy their life, so don't don't think
Yeah.
that way. But
Two
I'm-
sides, yeah.
two sides of it. But I just you know, as far as being humble or just being down to earth, that has nothing
Yeah.
to do with money. You
Right,
know what I
right,
mean?
exactly.
Like,
Facts.
No,
but it's
for
just
sure.
about, you know, who you are inside and like kind of where you came from, and I never forget
Yeah.
that. I mean, there was a time where I did. You know what I mean? There was a time where I got caught up in the sauce, you know, like early on in my career. But
Hey, that's real.
yeah, I snapped out of that
real,
pretty
yeah.
quickly, you know. I mean, not quickly, but quick enough. I mean, I lost relationships. I lost my best friend. You know what I mean? Like because I was just like, well, these people follow me or whatever. Like
Yeah.
I was just,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? But you know, I came out of it. You know what I mean? I was like,
Exactly.
what am I really doing this for? You
Yeah.
know what I mean? And
Yeah.
once I kind of figured that out, you know, I just went back to being who I've always been. You
Yeah.
know, so.
Hell yeah.
Hey, that's
well, we
dope,
appreciate
though. Yeah,
you, bro.
we appreciate you. You know, we're coming to the end of the podcast, and artists
27 hours later,
I know, right?
you guys are rocking
Almost,
with it.
almost. But you know, we created Artistry Drop to be inspirational to next generation of people, and not even just next generation, just people in general that are trying to learn artistry or trying to come up with something, in something. What advice would you give to someone trying to, you know, become a music video director or filmmaker in general?
I mean, if you're trying to be a music video director, make sure you have another stepping stone, or you have that business-minded person with you, so that you can make money and have a successful career and life creating music videos. Overall, for filmmakers, don't worry about your camera, right? Don't worry about the tools that you have. Just worry about creating an emotion, really it's all about creating emotion, whether it's like happy, sad, or like generating, you know, some sort of like coolness for a product or whatever, right? Like as long as you're able to create an emotion, create a reaction, then you're winning, right?
Yeah.
And you're going to be successful regardless of the equipment that you have. And so I would say that would be, just make sure that that's first and foremost. And balance your life out a little, you know, as much as you need to accomplish your goals in 10 years, right? So don't think about it now, think about 10 years. and and have some fun. Just enjoy yourself, enjoy your ride.
Yeah,
there you go. Any shout outs you want to give to our viewers?
To the lady,
Tinder, Bumble,
find me on Raya. You already know.
Ryan, come on.
All right. Where can people find you on social media?
Bumble.
Tinder.
Number one.
Everything's at Matt Alonso.
Yeah.
So just my name.
Yeah, and we're gonna put all the links to all your social medias in the
Swipe
description
right.
below. Anyways, but guys, Matt, again, thank you for coming on
thank
the
you
show.
guys. Thank you very much.
We appreciate you for coming on. But guys, if you enjoyed this episode and you're not subscribed to
And
our
girls.
YouTube channel, and girls, but yeah, we hope you guys enjoyed this episode. If you're not subscribed to our YouTube channel yet, it's Artistry Drop. If you're not following us on Instagram, you can find us at the Artistry Drop. And if you prefer just listening, you can stream all our episodes on all major podcast platforms. And we'll see you guys on the next one.
Yes, sir. Peace.